This is 372 pages. We'll never get back. Michael J. Nelson here, along with Connor Listoka. Connor, how are you this morning?
I'm doing good, Mike, and I'd like to extend a special 372 greeting to anyone who might be listening for the first time. You know, people just might have heard people saying like, this is a funny podcast, you should listen to it. And, you know, most podcasts you can just pick up at any time, listen to any episode. So if this is their first, it really starts with a bang for them today.
Yeah, it's kind of like if you are listening to a true crime podcast and it immediately starts in the gruesome part.
Yeah. They discovered a fifth oil drum containing dead children. Like this once had been, you got to build up to that. So if you are listening for the first time, we recommend starting at the beginning of the book. But we're also in pretty deep into this bad book of verse. So there's all sorts of weird allusions to authors you've never heard of, authors that no reasonable person has ever heard of. We're going to be comparing things to Sean Penn's book, which, if you're, again, listening for the first time, you rightfully did not know existed, and we're living a peaceful, bucolic life, not knowing that Bob Honey existed.
Sean Penn, the Bob Honey, the second book, did we do a news report on that? Did we go to the newsroom and did that come out?
It did come out. Bob Honey sings Jimmy Crack Corn.
Okay.
I don't even know if
we must have done so. I think we did when it was announced that it was coming out, but I don't think we did anything when it came out.
I think I punked the readers into thinking we were going to read it. But I don't even know if we got a maniac who went through and read it and gave us a book report on it.
Wow.
Which is something, because we had maniacs who read the entire Quilter Cozy verse. We had, maniacs.
Dwight David Thrash.
Yeah, following up on that. So it is impressive that people said this far and no further on that one.
I think that speaks well of our listeners. But what is Connor referring to? He's referring to, of course, Modelland by Tyra Banks and Michael Solord?
Yeah, Michael Solord is the other guy. He's the fifth Beatle of Modelland.
Although there's a mystery surrounding it, because as you dive into either the dark web or the light web. What do we call the regular web?
I guess it has to be by elimination.
By rules.
Yeah.
That Tyra Banks never says his name, I don't think, ever in the press that I saw. She never says, like, I'm so grateful for my my editor, my writing. She makes no mention of this guy. Mm-hmm. Who then on his own just claims, I co-wrote this book.
Right, yeah.
So it's a bit of a mystery, but I guess we have to take him at his word because it hasn't been stricken from the light web.
There's all sorts of weird, often like fairly sexist, like conspiracy theories. Like I think the most famous one is that Kurt Cobain wrote the songs on Hole's "Live Through This." You know what I mean?
Oh, sure.
And then I listened
Truman Capote wrote, what is it called? Dog Day Afternoon. No.
I'm going to go with that one. Attica!
Kill a Mockingbird.
Okay.
Truman Capote wrote that, which is that's also pretty lame.
And there was another one. I listened to a podcast about country music called Cocaine and Rhinestones that was about the Ode to Billy Joe by Bobby Gentry. And there was some hack country guy who maybe used to date her that claimed he wrote the song. And the host methodically went through and is like, here's how this guy's songs are garbage. And he would have never been able to approach anything, as subtle and, mysterious as this song. So I understand, it's a hard pill to swallow, but I think there's also some, Tyra Banks is a rich and famous person who has a lot better things to do than crank out 600 pages of Modelland.
Which we are told, reliably by her, that she submitted a 1,000-page draft.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which, if to anyone who has written a book, or when you're writing a term paper and you're like, oh God, how many pages is that?
Right. Yeah. You start trying to increase the spacing to 1.12. Like,
yeah, she is not doing that because there are plenty of words coming out here. So this was edited back. This was cut back like Jungle Brush with a machete by 40%,
right?
And this is still what we're getting.
And we were still promised 2 other books to complete the trilogy, which this book is in theory approaching a plot at some point in time. So I guess there is more plot then to mesh out over 2 books. 2 more books.
Do you think it's approaching a plot? I'm starting to. I wonder.
It's traveling from one viscerally unpleasant experience to the next. But this is something else that's interesting to me, too, because we were promised those 2 books, but this book came out, a decade ago. So you have to imagine those have been scrapped. But people were writing into us and saying that there was a Modelland theme park planned. Are you aware of this?
Get out. Get the hell out. Get out right now.
And so I was like, well, of course.
Put your shirt back on and leave your home.
Never. I will never put my shirt back on. I will. But so I saw that, and it was like, there was going to be a theme park based on what was that movie, John Carter from Mars?
Oh yeah.
I mean, there's not, but right. There's they were going to make another. It's like, and then it came out, it sucked, everyone hated it. It's like, we'll scrap that. The Modelland theme park. Someone wrote in this week. Where is it? Oh yeah, Aurora. She says that they have the current plan to make Modelland a reality, and so I read that. I was like, yeah, I've heard this. And she says, I did try to get their job listings page, but since the opening of Modelland is currently delayed due to COVID-19, the link has been taken down. Hopefully, coronavirus won't turn out to be the pilgrim plague that stops all our modeling dreams from coming true. It was supposed to open last year, and the only reason it's not currently open is the pandemic.
I literally do not believe that.
Stunning! It was like hearing that there was going to be a theme park based on the movie Over the Hedge, like that sub DreamWorks animated movie.
Yes, if there was a Bob Honey World opening, I would be more inclined to believe that, and I would go visit that. But
right, yeah, just models dressed as chimeras walking around, Shart World, sub part. You could drink, get a cherry water for $12 somewhere. You remembering all these things? They could have a whack-a-mole game, but with Trump and the mallet type of thing.
Oh wow, yes.
All these great Bob Honey memories coming back.
Oh,
but yeah, so Aurora
dream.
said if Modelland does open in 2022, I'm more Patreon supporters than just me would be happy to kick in for the 2 of you to go visit the next time you're in Santa Monica.
Oh, we could do that.
Yeah,
that would be
very fun.
Would be the dream episode.
We'd have to get a documentary crew probably. But then so Santa Monica, it can't possibly be that big of a park, Is it really just going to be more of like a boutique?
It's probably like Prince had a store in Uptown for years. I think I might have mentioned this before, and I get spanked when I mention something twice on this podcast, so I apologize. But it was like Prince's store. I forget what it was called, like the Purple Rain, it's a pun or something.
Sure.
But it was across the street.
Where's the pun there?
I think the rain was the reigning like a king instead of reigning like rain.
Got it.
I could be wrong. I don't remember the title. I'm going on the fly here. But it was all it was like his motorcycle from Purple Rain was in there, and then like really expensive shirts that you'd never wear, and then some of his CDs against the wall.
Got it.
For like twice as much as you would pay for them in the store.
I'm booking my ticket now.
And then a person behind the counter, like filing her nails,
because it was to answer people who were like, "Is Prince coming in today?" Like, go to hell.
It was always. So that was like Prince World, but it was literally a small boutique in Uptown,
like a roadside stand in the middle of nowhere, Arizona, that claims that it has like one of Hitler's teeth in a jar or something.
Exactly. Yes. But this one smelled like patchouli and had resentful staff in it. So,
great, lovely.
Yes.
All right, well, yeah, I imagine that's probably what we're closer to here, because obviously, if it was based on Modelland, no one would ever want to go there, because all you do is you'd be abused and tortured and sprayed with slop.
I can't eat this slop. So let's get into it, because holy cow, this one starts off with a bang. Do you have the summation, I think, has not changed since we did the last episode.
Yeah.
The plot-wise. I don't think anything's changed.
Yeah, Tookie is ugly girl, has gone to Modelland along with 3 other ugly girls, and they've made an enemy or two, and then they have just been put through the ringer in terms of like being stretched, like, you know, their bodies being stretched. They've been, you know, sprayed with horrible stuff. They've like what else has happened to them? They've been forced to relive.
Scalps have been peeled off.
Memories. Yeah. Oh yeah.
They've
incurred actual physical injuries.
Cats have deeply, deeply scratched them.
They've had their foreheads locked to other people's foreheads to shout debates at them.
They've had their fillings literally pulled out as though it were the Vasi Ingel, is it safe?
Yeah.
Marathon man levels of pain and suffering.
They've been attempted to be strangled with their own magical belts. They've been, yelled at and shrieked at by the staff. They've been forced to sing lengthy songs that
like North Korea prison camp songs. Yes, it's amazing.
Modelland, yeah.
And it's a young adult novel, correct?
Yes, but through all that, there is the looming love interest on the horizon that I guess we're meant to believe is like a ray of light into this young woman's life, but really is just a even weirder and grosser. Like, she sucks on his thumb. He sees a whipped cream booger on her face. He seems weirdly interested in her, and it seems slightly untoward because we're led to believe he's like a Chippendale essentially.
But he's also severely injured.
Oh yeah,
remember he threw a beam in the air because he's building a stadium, which we'll get to, and he was tossing the beam around to I hate to say this, but sexually excite the
yes. He was like that. There was
girls.
An old Dr. Pepper commercial where some women in an office would watch a construction guy get a Dr. Pepper out of a machine and just sort of like fan themselves as he like drank a Dr. Pepper.
Yeah, definitely Thunder Down Under, but he throws a beam in the air to impress them, and the sharp end of the beam, we all know to avoid the sharp end of any beam, comes down and cuts his forearm, and then it's never mentioned again. But they all like shriek, like this is a stunning event. Like, oh my God.
Well, he's out there shaking hands with danger, yeah.
Yes. So anyway, that and he's just like he's supposed to be the ray of light. So a guy with an open, bleeding wound, we assume. So with that in mind, should we get into chapter 26?
Yeah. So we've left off with they were doing a debate in debate class, and Dylan sprinted out of the room because CL tried to give off what I assumed would sort of be a major theme of this book, like a book about models for young adult girls, which is that like beauty can come in many shapes and forms. And Dylan immediately rejected this message and sprinted out of the room because she's too large to have this apply to her. And so it starts with, this is where, like to welcome everyone listening for the first time. They sprint. Where's Dylan? Demanded Tookie. The Likey sisters smirked. She's in the bathroom. Tookie, Piper, and Shiraz sprinted down the dorm corridor. They heard a groan echo through the tiled space.
There we go. Yep. A groan from the toilet. Always a good sign, right?
Yes.
Nothing bad can follow that.
And then we get Dylan was crouched over the toilet moaning. Her hair hung down, obscuring her face. The tips of her hair were dripping wet. The floor was splattered with bile and bits of expelled, half-digested food. Modelland. God. And like, so, this is obviously like going into some stuff that I'm sure Tyra and her, knew people that had to deal with this as models. And so it's not, funny, so to speak, but in terms of just the torrent, the fire hose, like the goose, foie gras goose tube of shit these girls have been forced to endure. This is just a real capper on the whole thing.
And we've commented on this before, like the level of grossness and pain and weirdness is off the charts. And it's like this one goes to 11. I mean, she's just twisting the knob on this. It's unbelievable.
Right, yeah. There's always, people say, and I think it's, sort of overblown, but people say that there's like creators who hate their characters. Like people say that about the Coen brothers sometime. Mm-hmm. It's never been truer than this book. I mean, in terms of just the suffering, like, it's unceasing.
She loathes her characters. She wants them to go through absolute hell.
But then, Dylan, like, is barfing here because of her, body image issues. But then they all end up bonding over the weird stuff they've all had to go through. And we get this great quote. Dylan looked up, tears still in her eyes. Yeah, but that's the obvious stuff. It's not true vulnerability. True friendship is about being really vulnerable, about sitting around a toilet and, I don't know, letting loose. Which sounds like it's like a dad boner summing up like his weekend, him and Dave were just sitting around a toilet letting loose, you guys. Either that or like the world's worst sign you could buy at Home Goods to put in your Airbnb.
I feel like, I think I can count you as my friend. I don't think I've ever demanded that of you.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's going to change. That's changing in Nashville in 48 hours.
Nashville, yes. We do have a shared crapper there. You can
right.
Mount the throne and prove you're a good friend.
Come on, guys. Come on in here. Let's let loose. It's the last live show we ever do together.
The Riff Track staff coming in.
Right.
Guys, one by one, let's do this. Sarah?
Well, it would be a good... Yeah, right. It would be a good thing to gauge. We tell everyone we got to go in here and let loose and see how people interpret it.
Right. No, we meant tell us a story about your life. Right. My gosh.
But so people do that. They, people share.
People
their...
do that.
Yes, God, right. God,
yeah, right.
Wow, that's. That would not be out of sorts in this book. I don't think.
No, not at all. No.
But so Piper reveals that her thing is that she hates her mom. She pretends it's because of her political views, but the truth is she hates him because she married my father, a person with albinism. If she just picked someone normal, I might not be this way. I thought that everyone in her town had albinism. Was I an idiot?
Everyone did. Yes. Right? No, everyone did. This was very puzzling.
Yeah. Okay. Good.
And also people have commented on the fact that, in a way she's like beautiful because of her, her looks are obviously unique, but interesting. And so there's never been a thing of like, oh, I look weird. Like, well, you didn't look weird because you came from a city of people.
Right. True. Yes. Right. And then we get this nugget, which I thought was another fascinating thing that I don't think we had been filled on either, where Shiraz reveals that she was essentially like Honey Boo Boo or like hot property. She was a traveling...
This was the greatest thing. I want to know what her act was. Why isn't the book about her act? She and her dad went from town to town because I didn't know this. She's like extremely miniature.
Yeah. Well, I thought they said she was like 4 feet tall or maybe like 3. I mean, yeah, she's tiny.
Okay. I think she's even tinier here because, I mean, the insults that her dad says to her are very sick.
Yeah.
Very weird.
Right.
But she, so she here's her speaking. So, travel for singing show on road. We famous in my country. She Papa, we were called. So
workshop that one, I'd say.
Yes, when you went to your booking tickets at whatever your favorite ticket site is. Hey, hey, honey, She Papa's playing down at the Orpheum tonight. What do you say? We goes, what is that?
Yeah.
Well, I guess it's a tiny albino girl.
No, she's not albino. The Piper's albino.
Sorry. So it's just a tiny.
Yeah.
A tiny person sits on her father's shoulder and they sing songs?
They dance and sing for audiences big.
Okay.
Yeah. I know, it's I wanted to do something special. It's our anniversary. And so She Papa's in town. Was able to finagle front row seats. So we'll get a really good look at the tiny dancing girl and her father.
Yeah, speaking of hot property. Hey, honey, let's go see.
Yeah, grab your coat.
Wow.
So stunning revelations here.
What is she getting at with Shiraz's accent, which there's only been, I don't know, there's a space between when we read. I can't remember what she's supposed to. They're all broad stereotypes. What is Shiraz supposed to be?
Well, she was in the town of Lumiere, right? So I just imagined her with a French accent type,
Oh, okay.
Maybe that's because the candle in Beauty and the Beast is named Lumiere and talks like that. That could be just the way I'm going for. But
so then she has every day of my life since Papa left me after Mama died from sick. Papa died too, but not from sick. Die from broke heart.
Yes.
So I guess that's what it says on the death certificate.
Yep. He lost the will to live.
Yes, he lost the will. Amazing. Yeah.
But then, so then after they've all revealed their demons, Tookie shares with them a journal entry, one of the letters she wrote to herself, which is just, and again, deeply, deeply twisted. Do you know how much I detest you? How the very sight of you makes me want to stab you through the heart? Why do you rise each day? What is the point of you even existing, of breathing this earth's precious air, which rots every time you exhale? It's like one of my letters to Willard Scott.
I was coming up with the names of who you might be.
Right. That was I don't know if he's still alive, but it seemed like a good one to pick there.
Yeah.
Well, he is still alive. Yeah.
Is he?
87, yeah.
Good on him.
Yeah. And then she says, I hope you go to sleep tonight and don't wake up. Oh, how beautiful the world will be tomorrow with you dead. I can't wait. And it just gets a little hard to, be sympathetic when everyone's just so messed up and miserable, Like, I get you need to sympathize to some degree with that these girls are suffering, but it's just like, everyone's gross and their hair's covered in bile and they're sitting in the can on the floor. Ugh.
Yeah, they actually say the girls remained in a tight group hug on the cold floor of the bathroom. And then they acknowledge a couple sentences later that, we're all sitting in her, half-digested bits of whatever the hell they eat in Modelland.
Yeah, they're trying to come up with a crew name, and Dylan says, how about Crapper Sisters, Dylan joked, looking at the soiled toilet and disgusting floor they were all sitting on. Modelland.
Oh, there's so many parts. I can't wait to read you with our bit of reading it to a little girl.
Okay,
this is one of them.
Right. Honey, soiled toilets, disgusting floors. We can soil a toilet and go sit in there and hug if you want.
Yes. So the name, this is one of her big problems in the book. Is she loves this of coming up with I don't know. Just titles and not anachronisms and
alliterations for things.
As well as, it's just off the charts of just call the thing what it is. Why are we? But so they have to come up with a name for themselves, and the name they come up with, I give a big thumbs down to. Mm-hmm. Are you on board with it?
Am I on board with the name or your thumbs down?
Unicas. Yeah. Is what they come up with.
Yeah, Unicas.
But it's pronounced Unicas.
Right. Which they spell out phonetically.
Yes.
Like Y-O.
If you saw the word, you would say Unicas?
Yes.
No, it's Unicas.
Because they're unique?
Yes.
But they write it out in the thing, YOU dash capital KNEE dash lowercase KUZ. Like you give if someone was reading an audiobook, you'd have to provide them with that in order to, make sure it was right. But it's very jarring to see definitely like in the text there.
The previous suggestion, by the way, here I'll read from the book. I kind of like it, Dylan said slowly, but I hate that U and L are a big part of UGLY. Good point, Tookie said. Is that a good point?
Is it really, Dylan?
Is it a good point?
Right. Yeah. There are letters that consist of other words. Words that consist of these letters as well. So,
my name, to be fair, Mike. I guess people call me Mike or Michael, but Mike has a K in it. Pretty close to KKK, wouldn't you say? I better get rid of it.
Yeah, you can't spell Hitler without that E at the end of Mike either.
So that's, not a good
point. Yeah.
Good point.
And then they reveal at the end of this that what Tookie needs is immediate attention because she has a waterfall of blood flowing from your lips that needs a stitch or 2 or 20. So the entire time, the filth, the like pudding that she barfed up, the overflow of the toilet, water on the ground has also been mingling with just a torrent of blood from Tookie's lip.
Yeah, I can attest to having two boys who had, issues on the playgrounds of taking them to emergency rooms for lip wounds. Mm-hmm. A lot of blood there.
Okay, they don't sew up on their own.
No, they do not. And I had to watch once as my son George had his entire lip stitched up with no anesthesia.
God, why?
Because the doctor said if I give it to him, he'll have to like stay overnight.
Oh wow!
And he said, it was like if it was my son, I would just give him this like local, and it'll be like painful, but he won't. It's not going to be that big of a deal. It'll be pretty quick.
Wow! Is it safe?
I just had to watch as he stitched up my son's lip. So
yeah, right. Yeah. So
anyway,
that
lip wounds.
There should be that's a chapter in Modelland essentially, like being forced to watch a child be given stitches without anesthesia.
Yes, but okay, so that chapter, like, let's go get your, I assume just like gushing blood lip.
Yep.
Which is split open.
Mm-hmm.
Because she said how many stitches? Like 2 or 10 or 12 or whatever?
Yeah, 20. And it's probably been, there's, toilet plumes. Other people are sure using the bathroom, so there's, the spray going up that's getting in the lip. Like. So.
Oh, yeah, there's fecal matter everywhere, right. Including the vomit and everything. But then... let's close this chapter out, huh? Mm-hmm. As they're going to find the emergency room. As long as I could watch the cat pee on Zarpessa one more time. And they all laugh.
Unicas.
Oh, you know what was missing from all the blood, vomit, bile, tears, poop, shit, everything? Is cat pee.
Cat peeing on 15-year-old girls.
And close scene.
I will contest that, though. I think that the other thing missing was like Modelland's equivalent of Moaning Myrtle from Hogwarts, the ghost that lives in the toilet. If there was some sort of like gross little elf that was down there that was like, oh yeah, I love the bile and filth. Soil me more, girls. Like
yum 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 yum, right, eating it up.
So yeah, that would be nice. But she can't rip off everything about Harry Potter.
It's true. That would be nice. Yes.
Chapter 27 gets pretty long, so let's move into that. I think they're going to the hospital and run into Zen.
Yes,
who has either gone off or is about to go on the Modelland equivalent of Rumspringa. Did you pick up on that?
I did indeed. Okay. I thought the exact same thing. Yes.
Right. She's taken like a journey out into the real world for, whatever reason, so that they can see how the rest of the world lives. And the main thing that she does here is she explains to them that there is a emergency portal that takes you back to Ladorno. But she says, I was going to use that, but then I decided not to because only an idiot would use that thing. So many girls died using that emergency exit trying to get to Ladorno. Oh, well, I mean, maybe they deserved it if they were trying to escape. Nope, it was during the big stadium fire. So there was a fire that no doubt claimed many lives on its own, but the girls fleeing, so many of them died because of this poorly designed emergency exit.
Yes, that's where we are in this book. And the stadium fire, by the way, a mere parenthetical. I assume they're rebuilding the stadium, the guy with the deep shoulder wound or whatever from the beam is building it. And I assume rebuilding it after the stadium fire.
Yeah, it was tossed off sentence. They said a fireball killed it.
How big?
The stadium?
The stadium.
Yeah. I mean,
20,000? 30,000? 30,000 is kind of a small or a medium stadium, isn't it?
Sure, yes.
For sports?
Yeah, I mean, for Modelland, you'd probably want something that could host a larger, bowl game sized audience, I'd say.
Yeah, we're talking like a college stadium. Some of those reach 65,000 seats. Right?
Yeah.
How many died?
Yeah, I mean, you think about a soccer or like concert when there's a stampede, and you sometimes those can get up to like 70, 80, like 100 people maybe. But a fireball hit the stadium, so fireball is going to kill a lot of people. There's going to be bleachers collapsing, let alone the then stampede that will happen there. So I think you'd be easily looking at 1,000 people probably died.
Oh yeah, I think that's a cautious estimate. Yes.
So, or as Modelland said, it was a Tuesday.
Right, but then the girls that fled through this like secret portal.
Yeah, they made it out. They were weeping. There was probably like scraps of clothing of girls who had been clawing at them. But ended up getting trampled. Like they're missing those patches of clothing, but they think, finally, we know about this emergency exit. And then
there's literally pieces of the girl who next to you was exploded by the fireball, or like on you, and you're screaming, and you jump into a portal, and then you die.
So Zen Zen is kidding when she talks about using that.
Yes. Which is, you have to admit, a pretty funny joke in Modelland. I'm kidding.
But then Tookie goes to the ICU, which is a large, noisy, crazed room filled with Bellas suffering from various degrees of odd and unspeakable injuries. And this is where she gets checked in by Purse Dress to Kill, who we covered in a fanfic, maybe back in like the first episode.
Yes.
Her reveal here, though, is that Purse Dress to Kill is like 150 years old and is dressed in a suit made out of knives or something. But she like looks at Tookie and is sort of like angry at her and says, "Ugh, you got scratched by one of those cats? The corridor kitties have tetanus on their claws. Pretty soon you'll be spasming." But so the BellaDonna turns the students into cats, right? Does she intentionally give them tetanus as she transforms them into there?
It's very confusing.
Yeah.
The cats are punished. They're turned into cats if they do drugs and are catty. But if you get scratched by a cat, they have tetanus on them?
Yeah.
Is that a thing that cats have?
I mean, cats can give you cat scratch fever, which is different than toxoplasmosis, but like tetanus, I don't know about.
Okay.
Yeah.
I thought that was a thing from Rusty.
Yes. That's
I don't know.
The traditional interpretation.
Yes. But this is an annoying thing that she does. Piper led Tookie toward a set of double doors marked the Drama Trauma Center. Quote unquote. This is the Fed's intensive care unit, she explained. Why is it called so many different things?
Yes, right.
The Feds is already I don't have it right here, but it's an insane, I don't know what it means, but the Fed Center.
Yeah.
Which doesn't even describe what it is. But anyway,
it's like
why is it two things?
It's like how you'll have a stadium, and it's like this is like Algro Field at Fifth Third Stadium, type of thing. Like it's like no one's going to call it any of those things. Guaranteed Rate Field is now what like Comiskey Park used to be called. I'm sure no one calls it that type of thing.
It's that insane thing when you're getting directions on your phone, and then it's called like four things, like take exit 68C, which is called Tom Johnson Road or something.
/ yeah.
Yeah, like I've never, no one who lives in this area has ever seen that. There's not a sign that says that. Is that like a double secret name for this road?
Right.
Why are you leading with that?
Yeah, I mean it's quite annoying because everything either rhymes or is alliterative, and that keeps going as we slog through this one.
Purse Dress to Kill is just beyond. I can't even, rage.
Yeah,
it's like rage.
Yeah, because I didn't write it down because it was in fanfic, but I think it says like she realizes, oh, they must call nurses purses here, and once again, it's like, but why? We're not in a world where the concept of a nurse is foreign to anybody.
Yeah, I think it actually says that as you might expect or something like that was the end of that. Like, of course, Tookie should have known they'd call nurses purses here.
Yes.
Go so to hell. No, she shouldn't have known.
Well, we get some more mistreatment of children, and it ends with another sort of like self-aware moment. There's a girl who washed her Modelland uniform in hot water instead of cold water,
Yep.
So when you do that at this school, you are essentially waterboarded as a punishment. Suddenly, water rose from the girl's feet as if she were in her own private fish tank. The water swelled higher and higher until it completely covered her head. So again, very difficult to imagine here. The girl flailed about, eyes bulging, panic-stricken. Purse dressed to kill ran over, yanked a razor from her arsenal of weapons, and punctured the bag. The water spilled out onto the waiting room floor. The girl collapsed on her side, gasping for air like the hooked trout. Tookie's reaction? She turns to Piper. Okay, that was weird. So she's like in a Marvel movie.
I have that word for word. That just happened.
Yeah, God.
Infuriating.
So once again, her lip is still pouring blood as she's saying that.
And keep in mind, remember again, this is the description from our two authors, that water rose from the girl's feet.
Yes.
Okay, I have that in my mind,
okay.
I guess. Her feet are producing water? As if she was in her own private fish tank. Okay, just because I'm standing in a private fish tank, water does not rise from my feet.
Yes.
The water swelled higher and higher until it completely covered her head. Okay, so now I'm picturing I guess she's in a giant fish tank that is 5 feet tall or taller. But she had been speaking before, so did the fish tank appear? Then the girl flailed about. Okay, so she flailed in her fish tank. But then a Purse dressed to kill, son of a bitch, ran over, yanked a razor from her and punctured the bag.
Oh, wow, yeah. I didn't even
What bag?
It's a bag. It's not filled with goo. It's filled with water.
What?
It's a sack, or what else have they been in? What was the thing that they traveled to Modelland in? Was that also?
The like a purse seine, like they describe it later.
Yeah, I don't know.
Sack.
There's been various, bag sack-like objects.
But come on, that wins the worst writing of the year award. What is going on there? What is happening? That is supposed to be a moment of like, I'm supposed to be laughing. I'm supposed to be in horror, but I don't know what's happening.
Right.
It's infuriating.
The only thing I could compare it to, if you had no basis in like video games, I think it would be hard to imagine. I'm imagining, in a game where you walk and Mario can leap into like a water thing and just start swimming into some sort of suspended column of water or goo.
Okay.
That's all I'm doing. But evidently, I think if Tookie reached out, she could not touch the water because the nurse needed a razor to pierce the bag.
That's what
and let it all out.
I nominate that worst writing of pretty much anything we've ever done.
I think that's up there. That's high school fiction level, like red line through everything, like See Me After Class. Desperata is here, who plays a role later, so we're just going to call attention to it. She hasn't stopped crying since she arrived at Modelland.
Yes.
And so is Zarpessa, because Zarpessa is in every scene. She's just like in Springfield, where the Simpsons are at some place, and then you turn around and Lenny and Chief Wiggum are there as well, just because they need someone else to deliver a line.
Yeah, and she's there to offer her very, very tepid insults.
Oh, yeah, without Chase to sort of be her Ed McMahon. She doesn't have it going. But she also has insults, but she has an extremely odd personality trait, which she just keeps giving to us here. She encounters a woman who has roller skates for feet, who is a doctor. And so Zarpessa says, like, hey, nurse roller skates. And the doctor says, I am a doctor, not a purse. Oh, of course, Zarpessa put on her fakest of fake smiles. I'm sorry, doctor. Of course, doctor. But you only handle the small stuff, right? Like knitting up cut knees and putting patches on bumps and scrapes. The big stuff is for a man's mind. Open heart surgery, brain trauma, that kind of thing. What is this character? She's like a 70s grandfather or something?
I am baffled by it. I had the same thing. Like, what is this? The doctor is a woman? Like, what is happening?
From a 15-year-old girl in the future?
I guess. And people can have actual flesh roller skates?
Mm-hmm.
So, like, what part of your flesh are the roller wheels themselves?
Oh, right, because they need like ball bearings, and they need to be detached.
How does that?
It's like being double jointed, I guess.
Oh, but you can't just have rollers that. Do they need to be replaced? Or do they have ball bearings?
Yeah, the brake when you tilt forward, you always had to replace those on your rollerblades.
It's so bad. But before that, explain this one. So there's Desperata.
Mm-hmm. Desperata.
Why don't you stop crying all the time? Zarpessa, who we call Zarpressa,
yeah,
right?
Why not?
Is sitting next to her. Not far from, damn it, not far from Ogden was Zarpressa, sitting in a chair, poking at bleeding gashes all over her hands.
Mm-hmm.
What? Whose hands are bleeding? Who's poking at them? And who pokes at bleeding gashes? What?
Right. Yeah. Well, I believe that's the cat wounds, right?
Yeah, it's cat wounds on Zarpessa or on Desperata.
I guess it's more just examples of pronouns not being where they need to be.
Not
Proper
far from Desperata was Zarpessa, sitting in a chair. So the subject is Desperata still? Poking at bleeding gashes all over her hands? Because then later Desperata does not have them. So it's Zarpessa who... I don't know.
Yeah. Without yeah. We're doing more work than we need to be for something that should be very easy to describe.
Yes.
Also, there's just so much terrible stuff here. I just got to do this quick. The doctor is a uniform covered in stiff white bristles. Her thick stockings resembled an elastic version of the material Tookie had used to deep clean the pots at B3 while she was on cafeteria duty. Her hair was a rather floppy. So Tookie used to be on cafeteria duty, and B3 was the something that they called their school. Man, that was important. Her hair was rather floppy, odd material, a mop perhaps. Tookie then got the pun right away. The bristle brush jacket, the grime-removing stockings, the literal mop head. Scrubs. Ugh. Is it a pun, really, though? Is it?
No.
And so did the doctors get together and like have their union approve pun-related uniforms? Like, why would you? Why?
Well, keep in mind, she was also born in Modelland, right? With the skates on.
Mm-hmm.
And the hair, and so because she's a freak, they trained her to be a doctor because of the roller skates.
Yeah, some might consider that an impediment to performing open heart surgery, which she can do as a woman. But
yes, of course.
If you're carrying in the heart transplant on a tray, and then your roller skates slip, and you 10 banana cream pies it all over the OR, it might be just an impediment.
All right, challenge to our listeners. If you're not reading along, imagine this. Again, this is the physical space I'm telling you to imagine. 2 strands of the doctor's mop hair started to lengthen. They snaked through the air and entered Tookie's nostrils. Tookie's pain slowly started to subside. Go to hell. What is happening? Well, mop hair?
If that had been what the doctor started giving George when he needed his lip stitched up, like you would have been like, "Sir, George, settle down. This doctor, even though it's a woman, knows what they're doing. Let their mop hair enter your nostrils."
By the way, while he was finishing up the stitching, he said, he looked at me and he goes, and George was just like a real champion. He's just like barely crying. He goes like, "I got to tell you something. I need to put 2 more stitches in." You're like, "Oh, come on, man." Like, I just coached him through, like, "George, you're doing great," and he's like, "Oh, it hurts," like. Then the guy's like, "Yeah, I thought it was only this many." I'm like, "Well, you can't stop. Just do it."
Yeah, right.
So I had to coach him into it. I'm like, "George, I lied to you, man. There's 2 more." He's like, "No."
God.
Thanks, Doc.
Yeah.
You just turned me into my son's torture.
Let me show him my roller skate feet, though. That'll make the whole thing painless.
Yes. Let me put some mop hairs up his nose.
I don't know. More body horror, sort of like, the Matrix or something. Just like the tube going down your throat to intubate you. I don't know.
Yeah. We got it all in this chapter.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable.
Did the mop hair wipe up the bile-soaked bathroom floor?
How much blood is pouring down? Oh, God.
Right. Well, it turns out that Desperado was missing her boyfriend. That's why she was weeping. So you do have the whiplash of being like, doctors can be women, and then being like, oh, but this girl is just so boy crazy that she...
Right.
But then Bravo comes in, and he's sort of like, as Tookie has been numbed up, he is, has been gashed by the girder, as you said, the I-beam. But then he sits down with Tookie, even though Zarpessa is all horny for him.
Yes.
But then she now starts talking in a weird anesthesia voice. So she says Z's for every voice.
Yeah, cartoon dog voice is what I said. But yes, because she's taken Z meds.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah,
great.
Another annoying
rhyming
thing.
Garbage.
Yep. And she says, is it Z? The Z effect. The Z meds mess with you. They have a Z effect. A Z effect, like getting some Z's? Tookie asked. Like falling asleep? Not exactly, the doctor.
Not exactly, yeah.
And in fact, not. Wait, what?
Yeah, that should provoke the Office Space. Did people ever ask you if you had a case of the Mondays reaction?
Yeah.
No,
man.
No.
Shit, no.
The doctor also had this complicated thing that she said. Tookie is like, why are there double standards here for the gurus and the Bellas? Like, why do we get punished so much? And the doctor says, I wish I could help you, but your guess is as good as mine. And that's all doctors do anyway. Make educated guesses. Is it now?
Well, I would not like to hear that before a doctor cut into me.
Right. Because when she asks her later, it's like, hey, while I'm here, could you replace my filling? Like, hey, all I'm doing is making educated guesses here. You want to go to someone with training for that.
Yeah, this chapter, holy moly, did it go on so long with just nothing but, I don't understand the point of it at all.
Mm-hmm.
Is this a revenge that, did Tyra have to go through some sort of a surgical procedure forced on her by, who's a designer? I don't know, by some French designer who was like,
you need to get your lips, embiggened or something.
Yes, yeah. If only we love your weird eyes and your forehead.
Right,
perfect.
But you need
huge.
earlobectomy or something.
Yeah, and so she went through hell or something because it just goes on and on and on.
Yeah, Tookie's drooling. It describes her as having a sloppy smile as like she's trying to flirt with the Bravo. Her stomach growls disgustingly, like.
She spits all over his hand.
Oh, my God.
And they mock her. They're like, you just like pissed all over. You mouth pissed all over him.
Yeah. He took the munchie from Tookie and held it to her lips. She opened her mouth to take a bite. And as she was wrapping her lips around the sweetness, a thick pool of her bloody saliva dribbled onto Bravo's hand. Yuck, Zarpressa screeched from her bed. Tutu just mouth pee-peed all over you. It's like, good God, it's like someone took a Harry Potter and just applied a weird, like, disgusting fetish filter to it or something.
Oh, I actually I had written that down as a Sonic challenge for you.
The screeching?
Yuck, Zarpessa screeched. Tutu just mouth peed all over. You ready?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, go ahead.
Yuck! Zarpressa screeched. Tutu just mouth peed all over you!
It is literally the worst thing I've ever heard.
You feel like screeching. I try to go into like the Weird Al register.
Oh yes, yeah.
Could do great.
Weird.
Fine. Well,
officially the Weird Al register.
I've got one for you.
A Sonic challenge.
More injured girls limped over to Bravo's bed. Must take lots of muscle to pose with those big tools. One uttered in a deep voice. So this is a
Oh, okay.
15-year-old girl with a surprisingly deep voice. Must take lots of muscles to pose with those big tools.
Okay, let me see. All right, here we go. Yeah, I'm an injured girl. I'm limping over to Bravo's bed. Okay, here we go. Must take lots of muscles to pose with those big tools.
Oh, God. Good utterance.
Thank you. Well, it had to be deep. I had to be injured. There's a lot going on.
It was. It's a good character work.
Thank you.
And then Zarpessa gets another one-liner off here. She tilted her long, slender legs so that they touched Bravo's. Like Chaste would say, there are plenty of other ways to get busy, even with a cut lip, right, Tutu? Has Chaste been saying that? Is that sort of her when she walks into a room? Hey, there's plenty of other ways to get busy, even with a cut lip. And then the studio audience applauses.
Everyone's like, yeah, Kramer.
You could buy that with, Chaste saying that on a shirt. Like, but I miss Chaste. Chaste did not show up during this entire section. And O'Neill, who was introduced last section, was our favorite character. We get 80 pages of this book without a single O'Neill, and only Chaste is alluded to off camera. It's so infuriating.
Well, we can only imagine that this was what got hacked from the 1,000-page manuscript that was turned in, which is like, come on, Solort.
Right.
You're cutting the wrong parts here.
Exactly. This is where your guiding presence needs to be needed. We're left to just ship Chaste and O'Neill on our own here.
Chaste is, I think we described her. She's Muttley, right? The dog?
Yes.
From the terrible cartoons who would just snicker into his hand over everything, no matter what happened.
Muttley, Scott Fargus's Toady, Ed McMahon, just all sorts of delightful things for this girl to be compared
yes,
to.
Sir.
But horny versions of all of them. She's the one who's like, oh, what was the teacher's name? The Troll Man. She was like, oh, he's all mine, ladies. Like first dibs on Van Magallo.
Yeah, the guy who dragged himself across the floor on his right. He had his legs did not work.
Yeah.
And she's like, I'm not getting busy with that shit.
She had stringy hair where he wasn't bald, and then dragged himself like a seal.
Wow.
I'm glad she has standards, though. At least it would be amazing if she was like still in chased Wanty. Yeah, leaving her room key. Yeah.
What I said, I said.
And then she gets teased for never kissing someone, and then she gets off a burn and Zarpressa leaves. But it says before she flounced away, she gave Tookie a dark, sadistic glare. I can't wait till they burn you alive, she mouthed. Do you think you could realistically lip read that if I did that to you from across a room?
I wish I could post the picture of that. Could she tell what she mouthed? Is the identical note. Like, yeah, it's usually like, you're dead. Maybe. Yeah. And you'd go like, wait, what? I suck? What? I can't wait. I'm going to string you up, and then I'm going to light the fire underneath it. I'm going to put like this dry oak that my dad has. Wait, what do you say? I can't.
What do you? There's a weather alert on your phone that there's going to be a severe thunderstorm coming later today, and I should take cover, but not. All right. Thanks for the heads up. I don't know.
That she doesn't even do the like slash the throat thing. She's like. Yeah. Was this positive or negative? I really cannot tell what this interaction is.
The Boo Big Teak is having a sale on Vitamixes. Sure, I can tell Creamy that through a letter, but
tip the purse or else she stabs me with her scissor head. What? What?
Yeah, compliment her mop hair. I don't understand. Thanks though.
See you later. I love you too. What? I don't know.
I think that they do all sorts of like just the Z talk from the Z meds, but then she goes under. The thing was just I guess the mop hairs in the nose were local anesthesia, but then she gets the full deal. And
I guess so.
And
I don't know. No, I think the Z meds were all she got.
Okay, but then so the doctor tells her she's got to count backwards from 10. And
okay. Oh, she gets more than Z meds. Okay, yeah. She blames the Z meds later.
Oh, okay. But then she's the only person in history that counts backwards from 10 and makes it all the way to 0.
That's true. Yes.
If you ever have had anesthesia, it's like count backwards from 10, and you're like, okay, how long is it going to take? And then it kicks in as you're saying that. But so Tookie is resistant to the powerful drugs.
It must have been an anesthesiologist going like, "Oh man, I really screwed up the dosage here.
God, she's clearly not going to make
past
it.
7. Holy shit!
Yeah, they warned us this was going to happen, but I never have encountered this. I mean, whew."
Have you ever known people who I've heard of people having like dental surgery and they're like, whatever anesthesia you're giving me, I can feel everything you're doing.
That's me. I've had that. I mean, it happened once. I had to get 4. I'm sure I've told this story. Had to get 4 injections of it because I had a filling come out like Tookie. This guy, it was like the only time I went to this dentist, obviously, because it was walking distance from my house in Pacific Beach, San Diego.
Oh,
which, if you were picking a place to go there, I rapidly upgraded. I'm like, I'm driving to La Jolla to go to the dentist. But so this guy, kept doing it, would drill. I'd be like, can feel it. And at some point in time, as I'm waiting there for like the 3rd anesthesia to kick in, his receptionist leans in the door. And this is an old guy. He looks kind of like Von Megallo. He was a kind of a troll man. She leans in and is like, Billy and Ron wanted to know if you're still going to make it to happy hour at Joe's Crab Shack. And I was like, can this wait, for the love of God?
As he's pulling out the gigantic needle, the needle that's like 9 inches long.
Yeah, that penetrates your upper palate. So that's my experience.
Wow. Okay. So you're one that I know, but I know other people who have said like, hey, you got to stop drilling, man. I can feel this. And then the dentist going like, what? No, that's impossible. Like, what am I supposed to tell you, man?
Yeah.
I can feel it.
I'm a pretty anxiety-free dude, but the days when I've got to go to the dentist are like, that's like, oh boy, I'm like gripping the steering wheel as I white knuckle over there and stuff. Because it's just like when someone's drilling you and you know that in the past you've felt it, it's not a pleasant experience.
What if I told you that person had fleshy roller skate feet?
Oh, please bring it in. Like the fact that they might slip as they're drilling me. We love it.
All better.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. That's all I got for that chapter.
Yeah, that chapter ends as she's being put under. And then chapter 28, just in the grand tradition of Modelland Storyland, I read several pages of this chapter, assuming that it was a hallucination, like a dream sequence type of thing. Nope.
Sure.
It describes this fantastic, like, mirrored corridor and these glass buildings and stuff, and Tookie is in them, sort of like a place she's never been before. But she just is there. And then it's like, oh, yeah, I sleepwalk, remember? I sleptwalk there. She sleptwalked out of the ICU, I guess, paid her copay, and walked down into the, like, guru's private headquarters.
Yeah, a place that we have only sort of heard about is, like, sitting up on the hill. But why is she there? She's on a glass table?
She's behind some glass doors, I think.
Yes, and she keeps going through more and more glass doors.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what that was supposed to be.
No, it was very hard to picture. The only thing that was clear was that Gennaro Nars, who's I think the RuPaul guy, like the drag queen, 3/4 man, 1/4 woman.
Yeah.
He is in the center of the Hollywood Squares board for some reason.
Yes.
That's where he sits and hangs out. There's like a tic-tac-toe grid, and he's the center square.
But he's smearing a mysterious item over his lips.
What could it be?
A stripe of red appeared. Lipstick.
Checks out.
Okay.
All right.
Yes.
A little bit of hang time on that mystery, but wow, that's a cliffhanger.
Yeah, so that's a scene that goes on way too long of him. Obviously, it's like someone adjusting their dress in the shop window, and you're on the other side of it, and they can't tell. That.
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
He's in a mirror.
Yeah.
Okay, and I'm seeing him. That was a great. Wow, what a great gag.
Right. Yes. And then as she continues down the mirrored hall and the mirrored doors opened, she stumbles upon a room, and I think this is how I interpret this. She hears the BellaDonna yelling at someone, but I don't think she ever sees the BellaDonna, so we're still left in the dark about this. Is that your interpretation?
That is correct, because didn't we have fanfic about the BellaDonna later?
Yeah.
I mean that was real, but yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
But she says this was made me laugh. You scheming, conniving hypocrite. You phony, worthless wench. The mere sight of you makes me want to vomit. If I'm so bad, so vile, so disgusting, why have me return here? Tookie's eyes widened. It was, ellipses, italics, Seal. So do you remember in My Immortal where that would happen? They would have like a...
Yep.
It was,
sure
18 ellipses in a row. Dumbledore.
Yeah.
At the MCR concert.
Yes.
So in terms of the things that do not turn up in other books, we've got Long Fingers in all our books, but ellipses reveals are unique to Modelland and the worst fanfic ever written, My Immortal. So well done, Tyra.
Yes. And then we get an overlong. This is a thing that, I mean, you can only imagine in the worst literature is, I just happened to wake up next to, the plot point of the year. Like, you think you can keep me here? Well, it would be like, I don't know, you go to the New York Yankees, Bill, and you wander around and you lose your way going to the bathroom, and then you find Steinbrenner, yelling. It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
And she's just outside the office, like, hey, you want to prop that door shut? Pretty important stuff we got. Nah, it's fine. Who's going to come in here?
Yeah, and they check all the boxes. They like talk about like, I'll tell everyone your little secret. Like,
yes.
Which, in a conversation, you might just say like, I'll tell everyone the secret. You say like, I'm going to tell everyone about the dungeon or whatever. I'm going to tell everyone about the, your trip to Bangkok type of thing. But since they need to keep it a secret, they just refer to it that way.
Yes. Yeah. It's like if you were actually bribing someone or trying to get you wouldn't have to say the thing. Do you want me to tell everyone? Like, right. No, please. Let's hammer this out right now. Like, right. No, I should probably say it out loud in case there's anyone.
Right. Eavesdropping. Yeah. Well, hell, I mean, we all know, eavesdropping, it always plays a major role in like Shakespeare plays. So it could just be a nod of the hat to the Bard of Avon.
Okay. So do, what do they call them? The full asides? Where someone's in a scene and they just start talking?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, wow, I can't believe this guy is saying this. But I love those. Those are so hard to play on stage. Like,
do you have to like
pretend
step to the front and look at the audience?
Yeah, like guys start, like taking a knife and picking under their fingernails. Like, you okay there, Ted? Like, yes. Yeah, I'm just talking to the audience for a minute. Okay, well, we'll be here.
Yep.
Okay.
We'll be mimicking rolling dice and having our...
Yes.
But so speaking of that, we get an amazing... So the BellaDonna is saying that, like, hey, those three chicks you brought there, the hideous-looking mascots... That was funny at first, but I'm over them. Abolish them now. And then that's when Silver says that unless she can keep them, she'll tell everyone the secret. And what secret is that? The BellaDonna asked in a voice that was nervously subdued. And then we get this. So the BellaDonna says, what secret? And then Ciel responds as this. You as the BellaDonna interrupt me whenever a real person would. You made one grave mistake. And I don't mean torturing me for half a friggin' year, or making me redo War of Words in my first year uniform, or demanding I answer calls at the Modelland agency where I've had to tell clients CL is not available to model for you because she's an ingrate, or forcing me to clean the floors of the ugly room with my tongue, or gagging me like a horse while you pry my eyes open and make me watch old Modelland propaganda films.
I did not specifically
for
order
7 hours
gag.
at a time while you drip saline into my
idea.
eyes.
Like, no, stop,
so
stop,
they don't
stop.
dry
the
out.
Horse gag was not my idea.
Or denying me food for 3 days in a row to slim my, quote, thick hips. Or making me feel so crazy and deranged that I had to freeze my face into a half-pleasant expression to hide the agonizing pain that I have to freeze my face.
Documents, you could find the term thick hips, but I did not order the horse gag.
To hide the agonizing pain my body is truly suffering from every day. No, woman, you made the mistake of insisting I work in the admissions department, where I have full access to the new Bella's admission. Silent. She delivered that monologue just like, I think there were 6 oars as not the grave mistakes. The grave mistake was letting her work in the admissions department where she has new access to the new Bella's admission records, and the Bella has altered the predetermined admissions list and let Tookie in.
Yes.
It's stunning. Like, so not only is Tookie eavesdropping, she's eavesdropping over that lengthy monologue as the BellaDonna just sort of sits there, again, picking under her nails with a knife.
I would like to point out, though, that the specific charge here gets very strange. The gagging me like a horse, well, you pry my eyes open and make me watch whole. So it's like... You didn't even have one of the, you didn't have Bravo do it.
Yeah.
You were in the room prying my eyes open. What a weird thing to do. It's like, Stalin used to like to watch the torture of his enemies.
Right.
Like, you don't have to be here for this, man.
Yeah. In many ways, it's just like making someone else do it is a perk of your job.
Yeah. I'm going to go home and I'm going to have a whiskey while you're doing this. But no, she's there. Look. You got to give her credit. She gets her hands dirty.
Yeah. But then, and CL also gets off a great burn during this. She calls her BellaDonna. Whew. Oh. She might as well just, take the crown now. She's never going to recover.
And that was italicized so that, she has to do it. It's always a tough thing when you're reading a line or something and it's supposed to be italicized. You have to make the italics work. Come on, BellaDonna. Where it's like, wait, what did you just say? Like, oh, you just mispronounced my name.
Right, yes.
Like, does it sting or does she just kind of go like, did she call me BellaDonna? I don't know.
Yeah.
It's hard to tell. It's very close.
CL actually did misspoke, like Mead's doing an Ogden, but she just wanted to play it off like it was an insult.
Yes.
And then
sorry.
Yeah.
Never mind.
Let me restart my monologue. Yes. You made one grave mistake, and I don't mean torturing me for half a friggin' year or making... And then you hear out from outside the guru's building, you hear Chase laughing at the BellaDonna line.
And doing like a finger point to the right.
Oh, but yeah, she says, and they allude to like, they know that there's rumors about sacrifice, but they were saying, you're up for a little sacrifice, aren't you? Which, obviously there's going to be some, misinterpretation of what that might mean. But
yes, of course.
I mean, that would happen in Harry Potter too. They'd always overhear things, and then there'd be the teachers saying these ambiguous things that, of course, could be interpreted in the way that the kids needed them to. I
mean, 100% Seal is a hero in this, right?
Has to be. I mean, she's been mistreated so much.
Yes. Okay. So this whole thing of her like twirling a mustache is very weird. Yeah. I tell you what else is going to happen.
I like the horse gag, actually. That's the one thing I'm going to keep. Do you gag horses? I know they put a bit in their mouth, but I mean, he's essentially describing Clockwork Orange, which like...
Yeah, Clockwork Orange, and then the dripping of the saline into her eyes was... That's like, she should have thanked her for that, right?
Yeah.
Like, because since you were holding my eyes open, it was very nice of you to continue to drip saline into my eyes. I appreciate that.
All right, well, that ends our fake dream sequence. And before we move on to chapter 29, you want to do some fanfic?
Do I?
Here is the wildly popular real or fanfic segment, and this is where I, Connor, I'm going to quiz you, Mike, on 5 passages that could either be actual things that happen in the back third of Modelland. In theory, the climax, the big reveals of everything.
Sure.
Or they can be fanfic written by our listeners. Many of them are Patreon supporters over at patreon.com/372pages. All sorts of fun stuff happens over there. We actually did a meme contest, and one of the winners was a meme related to real or fanfic. So people ought to check that out, because we really appreciate everyone who chips in just a wee bit of money to help keep the podcast worth doing.
Before we start this, because this could be just a nightmare. Okay. Let's face it.
Yeah.
It could be a plane going down with smoke coming out of the back and clearly going to crash into the Pacific Ocean. I just want to say that earlier, I think I said anachronism, meaning acronym.
Oh.
A terrible moment for me.
Oh, man. It's been weighing on
I just couldn't I just couldn't think of the word. You know how you just like suddenly it just gets stuck in your brain. We say a lot of words in this podcast. So anyway, let's clear the air on that, and now punish me with fanfic.
I'm sure that the memes and the mockeries have already been just thrown out into the verse, into the web, dark and light.
Sure.
So it's out of the bottle.
Yeah.
All right. So actually, I am going to do 6 this time because you have to identify not only which ones are real or fanfic. One of them is written by an AI deep learning algorithm.
Oh, perfect. So now I'm excited.
One of them is AI, and then you pick which one are real or fanfic. You also have to identify that one. All right.
So how is this done? Do you go to a site where you just put in the whole book and then it says like write it?
You put in the site and then maybe it does it like I have no idea, but like people do them I've done them for like every book and it's fascinating.
Okay. All right.
Number 1. A terrible animal wail ran out. Percy ran toward the sound, and Tookie and the others watching the flashback followed her into the D's bathroom. Percy locked the main bathroom door, ran to the last stall door, and peered under it. There was a pair of knees on the floor. Someone was throwing up. "I think it's that chicken you chowed in the BellaDonna," Percy whispered through the door. "You'll feel better soon. Why don't you try singing? That always cures your aches and pains." The girl on the other side of the stall just groaned again. Then the knees rose from the ground and the girl slumped onto the toilet. Tookie could practically feel her pain. She'd had a similar reaction to her chocolate binge, which was why she couldn't even have the tiniest taste of the stuff anymore. After a moment, there was a large splash in the porcelain. Suddenly, a small, piercing cry rang out. But it wasn't the sickened cry of a young woman from the wrecked from tainted food. It was the cry of a tiny baby emerging into the world. CL's eyes widened. "You are kidding me."
Oh, boy. Okay. Well, the wild card of the AI in there. That seems like it might be AI because the toilet scene. We already had the toilet scene, so AI wouldn't know that if it was trying to fool me, that it would just take the toilet scene and redo it.
Okay.
So I'm going to say that that's the AI.
Okay. Number 2. The girls' elation at their escape was short-lived when they unzipped the pouch and a blast of freezing air hit them. Where we land," said Shiraz as she emerged from the pouch. "This ain't Boo Big Teak," said Dylan. Tookie and Piper stood there shivering, looking around at the barren white landscape, nothing but snow and ice in every direction. From nowhere a woman appeared, clad in an all-white jumpsuit decorated with ice skate blades, packed snow epaulettes, and icicles for hair. "Welcome to Vodka Tonica," she drawled. "You fools. Who do you think controls the pouches? None but the BellaDonna herself." Tookie said, "This must be the Polarium, where dissidents are sent." "You are correct, large-headed one. I am Reza, and this is where you will be forever frozen," she smirked, "unless a handsome young prince kisses you." She then opened up into a smaller version of herself, which opened up into a smaller version still, and finally a fourth, which each version grabbing Dylan, Piper, Tookie, and Shiraz in turn.
Oh, that's good. Matryoshka doll stuff from a... I think that is fanfic. I think that's better than Tyra or Salort could write.
Wow. All right.
How do you like that? How do you like them apples?
Number 3. The time had come to escape Modelland. If Tookie was going to rescue Piper, Dylan, and Shiraz, she couldn't do it from inside. She needed to get out and find Wingtip. Hopefully, Springnificent had managed to leave the zip-zap located in the Bestosteros common room active and the doors unlocked. Grabbing Bravo's hand, Tookie said, "Lead the way." As every eye leered at the still unusual sight of Bravo and Tookie holding hands, they raced to the Y. Tookie struggled with knowing that she was about to leave Bravo at Modelland, and she felt a pang of guilt rise up from her knees and settle itself in her throat. Finally, Bravo said, "In here," and opened the door to the common room. Lying there on the floor was the lifeless body of Springnificent. Standing over her was the dual threat of Persimmon and Creamy. "Where do you think you're going?" Creamy bellowed, with her newly fresh face glowing with the youthful fury that made her look like a cross between an angel and a devil.
Oh, that's also good. Man, I'm going to say fanfic because it's too good.
Okay.
I mean, bad good.
Number 4. The 13th week of first-year Bella was by far the hardest yet. Tookie found herself jumping out of bed every morning before sunrise and spending hours running through various routines in an effort to perfect her uniform. During those long days, she made countless new friends and watched some incredibly powerful and influential Bellas rise to power. But even as Tookie saw the start of a kind of social revolution in Modelland, she worried for the safety of her classmates. Some of them were still with Zarpessa or CL in the dungeon, trying to find a way to escape. Others remained locked in the dormitory and had yet to emerge. Tookie knew that they could easily become prisoners of the Centura, especially after the authorities seized control of the dress room and the armory. What if the Queen discovered the Unicas and punished them for their own private vendetta against Zarpessa and the Lykies? Or what if an Intoxabella was ordered to murder any girl who tried to leave Modelland without permission? Tookie sighed. She had to get these girls to the break, but how would they know where it was?
Gosh, that sounds exciting, too. Maybe that's part of the plot. I'm going to say that one's real.
Okay. Number 5. The BellaDonna's voice sang out. Trust to your instincts if it safely restrained lightning reactions. Must be carefully trained. Heat of the moment. Curse of the young. Spit out your anger. Don't swallow your tongue. Everybody sing the chorus, she roared. The BellaDonnas replied in musical unison. Stick it out. Don't swallow this poison. Spit it out. Don't swallow your pride. Stick it out. Don't swallow your anger. Spit it out. Don't swallow the lies. I hope you learn from your fellow Bella's mistake, the BellaDonna concluded. Yep, agreed Guru Macho. Class dismissed.
Oh, it's so good. I mean, how could it not be real? But I'm going to say it's fanfic.
Okay. And the final one, number 6. Help me, cried Abigail, both of her hands futilely grabbing onto the cliff face. Creamy appeared like a dark angel out of the wind and snow. Thank goodness, Abigail screamed out. She looked down at the dangling darling and started to laugh. Take my hand, please. I'm afraid I cannot do that, Creamy said darkly. Mama, what is it? Miracle called. Nothing, sweetie. Go practice your dance. Okay. One of Abigail's hands slipped. You're not as pretty as my little girl, Creamy threatened, but I cannot take that chance. Modelland is our destiny. It is my destiny. And with that, she brought her boot down on the frigid fingers again and again.
Wow.
So Abigail's, of course, the hairy girl.
Yeah, she has a chunk removed from her coming up. But I'm going to say fanfic.
Okay. All right. A good performance, I think. Let's go through this again. Number 1.
You've said good performance before, and then I've come up looking really horrible. So we'll see.
It's an interesting performance. I think it's overall good. But number 1. So this was the baby born in the toilet. You said that was the AI written. That was the real passage.
Get the... Then how am I doing good?
So we've got that.
She goes back to the toilet?
Back to the toilets, and then there's even more stuff happening in them. I have no idea who Percy is. But we have that to look forward to. Number 2 was the Matryoshka doll, Vodka Tonica. You said fanfic. That was fanfic written by Blake.
Yeah, as I said, that was good.
Yeah.
It was really good fanfic. So, yeah.
Number 3 was Springnificent, Creamy with her newly fresh face, fleeing with Bravo. You said fanfic. That was fanfic written by Hayden.
Okay. Yeah. Complimented that as well.
Number 4. This was I don't know how to describe it. It was a string of things. This, you said real. This was the AI.
Oh my
so
God.
you missed. So you said the AI was real and the real was AI.
Wow.
So that's impressive. That was submitted by Jory. I don't know how they did that, but pretty impressive. Number 5. This was the BellaDonna making them sing a song. You said fanfic. That was fanfic submitted by Craig, and he said it was fanfic incorporating lyrics from Stick It Out by Rush. He said it's eerie how well Rush lyrics fit in with Tyra's Modelland poetry and songs.
Yes. Oh, well done. Wow.
And then number 6 was Abigail's clutching to the cliffside and took Creamy stomping on her fingers. You said fanfic. That was fanfic written by Harris. So,
yeah, it was really good.
So there were 4 fanfics. You identified those all, but you thought that the one written by an AI algorithm was real, and the one that was real about the toilet baby was AI. That was the toilet baby one was submitted by Jeffrey, our listener who read all of the Cozy Verse. So
Yes, I feel pretty good about that.
Yeah, it's probably the best outcome from doing that.
Yes. Holy cow!
Yeah. Well, we should move on to chapter 29 because that's where Creamy and Miracle and Abigail are reintroduced into the story on their pilgrimage up the mountain, which turns out they have been on for months.
Yes, because they are in at the school. They're in the deep stretches. Like the time is not tracked well in this book.
Oh.
Suddenly, people are like, "Oh, hey, well, it's our 4th semester here. I guess we've been to that ship thing or whatever."
Yeah.
Into that sphere with the magnets. We've been there a lot, I guess.
Right. Yeah, we've been doing debate class. We all have the magnets imprinted in our foreheads. We've done it so often.
Yeah. But yeah, this is a while. But the pilgrims are months into their journey. And I just have to open it. This is the flute creepers.
Yes.
Right. I have Tom Waits section
nice.
to read. Right. But they learn the hard way. Abigail Good's legs had been deeply gashed by the unseen critters. One of the pug-sized creatures had extracted a 3-inch chunk from Abigail's mother's shaggy buttocks. So there you go.
Man, yeah, that's... Shaggy buttocks is quite the turn of phrase for Tom Waits. Like,
thank you, Tyra.
A traveling carny show. Mm-hmm. But those are not the flute creepers. Those are the tumble terrors.
Yes.
Who are the when suddenly ominous winds blow in, they all know that portends their arrival. And so they do say that the tumble creatures. Okay, here we go. Creamy and Miracle have a concoction made from insect repellent, paint remover, and turpentine that they spray on themselves that protects them from harm somehow. We don't need to.
And they don't share it with anyone else.
They do not.
We don't know how much they have. They could have plenty to share, but they just don't.
Yeah. As people are losing chunks of buttock and legs gashes and stuff. But then the guy who wants to go up to Modelland so he can eat Piper's pancreas is Hunchy, the hunchback.
Hunchy, sure.
Yeah. Meanwhile, the twisted rabbit hunchback figure the pilgrims had nicknamed Hunchy expertly speared a tumble terror. Then he took off his boot, revealing razor-sharp claws, lifted his foot, and sliced the creature's human torso. Mm-hmm. And so a couple people wrote in about this, and I was confused too. I was like, do we know what these look like? Like I didn't expect him to have a human torso. And he eats the organs out of it, and I looked it up. This chapter contains the only 3 mentions of tumble terrors in the book. So they just introduce them. This ominous wind blows in. They show up. They say they have a human torso, but reveal nothing else about their physiology. And then they don't really factor into the rest of the book. Hate to spoil it for everyone.
I just want to read the rest of that thing to you as though, again, you are. I'm putting you to sleep.
Okay, all right.
We've combed your hair.
Thank you, Dad. My 7th birthday was as magical as it could be.
Oh, honey, it was so much fun.
When the real Princess Elsa showed up and sang "Let It Go," it was I will remember that for the rest of my life.
I couldn't be more happy to see your smiling, happy face as that happened. And now, my dear, as I lightly pass a cloth over your head because it was a hot day.
Oh, thank you.
But I'm going to read to you and calm you down.
Oh, what are we reading? Make Way for Ducklings?
Oh,
Blueberries for Sal?
Nope, that's under the Mommy threw those. I don't know what happened there. Anyway, my dear, we're reading the lovely book for kids called Modelland.
Oh no, Daddy!
No, remember last time we talked you through it.
Okay,
we went to the psychologist.
Yes, it was. I tucked it
it
away. I put it in a box and locked it in a safe in that corner of my mind where I put those memories.
Yep, let me sponge your head a little more. There we go.
Like the time on my 6th birthday when the Elsa came to sing "Let It Go," but she got hit by a car. I put that next to the Modelland memory.
Sure. Look, let's. It's time for you to go to bed.
Why did you tell me she got hit by a car? She didn't show up at the party, and you could have just. It was supposed to be a surprise, so it didn't even matter that she didn't show up. I was having a great time with the ponies, but you said she got hit by a car and died on the way. Okay.
Lay down. There
Story
we go.
time.
Yep. It yelped in a deep, human-sounding voice.
Off to a bad start, Daddy.
Hunchy reached into the fresh cap in the torso, sifted through various organs. You know what organs were that were still operating.
Oh, God.
Do you know what that is,
Yeah,
right?
it's like
Slicing open a human being, and the organs are still pulsing from the blood running through them. And pulled out the pancreas.
Is this going to happen to me when I go to sleep tonight?
It's possible. Who knows? He then placed the entire bloody organ in his mouth.
Why? What did the Tumble Terror do?
Remember, this is Hunchy. Picture Hunchy.
I don't want to.
No, picture him.
Why?
He has claws for toes.
He's twisted and rabid.
An unsatisfied look illuminated his face. Do you know how unsatisfied looks illuminate faces, honey?
No, that seems weird. That's a weird way to say it.
It does seem weird, isn't it? But that's what happened.
It doesn't seem like it would brighten your face. It seems like it would darken your face.
It doesn't. Seems like it would be dark. But he quickly spat out the pancreas.
That's even grosser.
It's very gross.
Even when you made me watch Temple of Doom, the guy ate the heart and it was terrifying, but he didn't spit it out. That's much worse.
Snakes and weird eggs. Wiping his tongue of any trace remnants. No,
somehow
honey,
the worst
please.
part.
Well, this is why we're reading it. Hunchy is wiping his tongue of any trace remnants. All right, now lie back down. Why are you getting up?
I'm not going to.
The sweetbreads he desired. You know what sweetbreads are,
yeah,
right?
we like the cake we had for my birthday today.
No, they're not sweet at all. They're organ meat taken from the live, pulsing bodies of humans or other things.
Why is there a name for that?
I don't know why they call them sweetbreads. It's we'll probably have to look back at the what are the origins of that word? I don't know.
No, we don't need to get into it.
Seems like it could be British.
Sure.
Should I open up No, let's not open up the dictionary.
No,
that's in the other room. The sweetbreads he desired, the reason for his trek, this is Hunchy, by the way, he's going up the mountain, were so close yet so far away, with a certain pale-skinned Unica,
Gah, Daddy,
who resided.
I like that you pronounced it correctly, but
it's capital Unica, darling.
Well, I got that based on your pronunciation. I didn't. You don't need to tell me how it's pronounced because you were reading it out loud.
Who resided in Modelland ... I think there's 4 dots.
What will happen to the Unica?
I assume she'll have her sweetbreads pulled out and eaten by a guy named Hunchy as he wipes his tongue off, darling. Good night. So long. Switch. Goodbye.
Oh my God! It just
wow.
Yep.
That is some dark stuff.
It's amazing. The wiping the tongue. Kevin asked us to look at a scene in a movie where a guy licks blood off a knife yesterday.
Yes.
We're like, that seems good for this disturbing action movie, but
that wasn't even as bad as this. Yeah, that was actually pretty tame.
Right. So Hunchy wants to go to Modelland to eat Piper's pancreas. And Creamy has been subsisting on tree saplings as they do this journey.
Sure.
Yeah. So then they are fluke creepers, who are plants that, much like the mop hairs of the doctor, who's a woman, by the way, they fluke creepers, as everyone sleeps, send tendrils down their mouths to suffocate people.
Yes.
And they anesthetize them with the flute creepers have flute sleeper venom. And then that anesthetizes, and then they crawl down their windpipes, where they digest their victims slowly over a period of weeks, working through their body's deepest interiors. I'm surprised the dad didn't read this part to his daughter. All while the victims remained alive but paralyzed, feeling every bit of pain. And it says the key to preventing this was someone to stay awake through the night and keep watch. That was Kamada's job, their guide, and he'd failed miserably. So it's like one of those like insects where, a spider lays their egg in something and then like it eats the caterpillar from the inside as it plays host to the babies.
Right. Yeah. This is actually the most horrifying thing you can think of. And then the worst people in the world are protecting them from it. They're like killing the things as they start injecting their venom. Yeah. Which, by the way, what is your understanding of what anesthesia does?
Numbs you?
Okay.
Oh, sorry. I mean, does it knock you unconscious, right?
Well, it numbs you from pain and knocks you unconscious, right?
Yeah.
So anesthetize them with flute sleeper venom. Okay,
Sure.
Put a pin in that. All the victims remained alive but paralyzed, feeling every bit of pain. So I guess I do not understand what.
God damn it! Wow.
Anesthesia does.
Just sentences later. Oh man.
That is literally one sentence.
He drank the water, leaving him parched, as water does.
Yes. Oh. So anyway, that stuck out to me. But yeah, I think it's what is the tarantula hawk wasp? Have you heard of that one?
Yep, that's that.
So it flies down, hits the tarantula, it puts its ovipositor in it, it lays the eggs in it, and then it chews. So it paralyzes it. Paralyzes, not anesthetizes.
Oh, nice.
It, and then bites its legs off so that it can pull it into its own, whatever hovel, den, whatever tarantula hawks live in. And then so that sting and the ovipositor lays the eggs in it. So it sits there alive until the eggs hatch, and then the eggs hatch and they eat the tarantula.
It's like, you couldn't conceive of anything more.
The most horror. And this chapter is actually somehow a little bit worse than that.
Tarantula hawk, as it's sitting there paralyzed, once the leg gnawing off starts, has got to be like, well, come on.
Yes.
This is unnecessary at this point in time.
Well, and the tarantula hawk, wasp is like, you don't need the legs. Look, it's true. That is true.
Or
it just seems a bit much.
He finishes the 4 on the left side, and he's like, well, I will never move again, as he sees the wasp going over to gnaw off the other 4. You're going all 8 then. That's
You're doing it. Okay. All right.
But so Creepy spears a creeper with a javelin, takes the heart of the creeper, which I thought it was a plant, but I guess it's a animal plant because it has a heart. The heart contains the anti-venom, the anti-anesthesia, and so she then force feeds it to people while they're unconscious in order to save them. Because I think they said they need them to sort of survive this journey. It says, when she's doing this to the guide, Kamada's mouth began to move on its own. Each time he bit into the creeper heart, silver and red blood squirted over his shirt onto his pants, and then Creamy went around and saved all the pilgrims. So it's like the Prince fight in Ready Player 2, just like, and then she saved the rest of them.
Yes.
She went around and did that.
I was going to read that to the little child as well, but yes, because especially of the. And then Creamy went around and say, "How did that look? How much more red and silver blood squirted over how many pants?"
Yeah,
it was quite a few pants, but a lot of skirts and a lot of weird like scissor dresses and stuff like that.
And like, so is Kamada? Is he coming too, being like, "Holy crap!" As she's going around to like the other 24 people in the party, like, I would have liked to see how Hunchy reacted to this with his razor sharp teeth and bloody tongue. But
yes, and Kamada's mouth began to move on its own. So when he woke up, it's like, is he Australian? I forget.
I don't remember. I think he did show them a knife, so that may be what led you to believe that.
Okay. What's me bloody mouth moving on me own for, eh? And looking down at his pants, like, what happened?
Silver blood? Oh man, I hope that's blood. Yes. And then she says, Miracle gaped. Creamy, how do you know how to do that? Mrs. De La Creme looked off into the wild expanse around her, then stared cunningly at her daughter. Personal research, Miracle dear, personal research. So Creamy's does her own research person. She's like watching YouTube channels to check out flute creeper and flute sleeper venom before they went off on this journey.
Oh my God.
It's amazing.
What is that supposed to mean? What she looks at her menacingly and cunningly at her daughter.
Yeah, it was very cunning to research flute creepers before this month-long journey, even though it hadn't come up yet.
Meanwhile, Miracle, I assume, is like moving around like the tube man
she's still dancing.
A used car.
Mm-hmm.
She's still doing the thing, like wailing her limbs around and like, could you stop that while I'm still squirting silver blood over people's pants?
It is hard to focus this cunning expression on your gyrating limbs.
All right. Well, that's the end of chapter. What is that?
Chapter 29. I wish that one had come up in fanfic. I think there's some as she's taking out a plant's heart and making Kamada bite into it. That would have been, I think that would have fooled us.
Right. And then his mouth moving on his own.
Oh.
That would have been like, okay, that's not real. Yeah.
Well, chapter 30, it flashes back to real time. She's fleeing the M, which is where all the gurus were, heading for the D when she runs into Bravo, who now is calling her Creamy because Tookie likes whipped cream. So it's been turned on her.
Do you think that just came up and she just went like, "Oh, that'll be funny" or something? It does not seem like a
creamy?
thing. Well, the D is I probably have a lot of dumb sentences.
Yeah.
The D.
It's like, I want to stop pointing these out, but she's not making it easy.
No, I think she's being funny about it, but still. But I just like calling her Creamy is just very weird. Like, it doesn't amount. I don't think it's going to amount to anything, is it?
Well, I mean, but her last name is also De La Creme.
Well, yeah, that's what I think is just like, I think the fact that her mother is named Creamy and that she squirts cream into her, I don't think it ends well. I don't.
Sure, no, yeah.
I don't think it's a thing. I think it's just something she didn't think of and she thought it was funny. And now here's another girl or here's, another guy who calls her Creamy, but I don't think it's not like he thinks she's her mother.
Right. No, yeah.
In other words, the confusion comes to nothing.
Yes, exactly.
Is all I'm saying.
Yeah, he's not going to reveal that he, used to date her mom or something. Which is what her reaction, how did you know? Why did you call me that? Is essentially what she does.
Yeah. But Tookie ran out of the M building, not the D, faster than she'd ever run in her life. Which I assume is not fast given the size of her feet.
Yes, would be very difficult.
Because people mention her feet. Like, I think when she was in the doctor's office, I think it was just like right away, like, holy moly, those are giant feet.
Yeah.
So the fact that she can get up to speed, I mean, that's pretty good.
She's tripping over them at points, I think. Signature Tookie De La Creme fall, I think was a sentence.
Yep, exactly. So good on her.
Yeah. And if these are your dumb sentences, we don't need to do them now, but we'll come back to them. But I think she's about to kiss, but then runs away. She needs to get back to her Unicas because she needs to tell him that she overheard, confirmation of the sacrifice rumors.
Yes.
Which, when she explains that to them, we get this nice little sentence when she's back in the dorm with her buddies. CL said that she wants to experiment on you, and she sounded like a demon when she said it. And the BellaDonna wants to do the same to me. Everyone gasped. Are you sure they meant experiment on us in that way? Piper asked. Human sacrifices that lead to our agonizing deaths? I mean, and that does seem to be the logical endpoint of most human sacrifices, right? Like, in Apocalypto, that movie, they weren't, bringing up there to be human sacrifices that were like kind of uncomfortable or that ended, in like a tickling or something.
Yeah, we'll let you go once your head rolls down the steps.
Right. Yes.
You'll be fine.
It wasn't. Yeah. All right. Well, I guess it wasn't really a sacrifice if I'm walking away from it on my own 2 feet.
But in that little thing where she talks about that, we get a clue to, I'm going to use a big word here, the eschatology in Modelland.
Oh, okay.
The end of all things.
Uh-huh.
Where does, what is humanity? What is the point? And when death came, it was not a reprieve, but eternal damnation. So in Modelland world, there is like I guess a judging God, or I don't want to make any assumptions, but there is some sort of hell.
Sure. Yep.
Eternal damnation.
Yes. A listener named John wrote that in as his dumb sentence. He said, apparently the BellaDonna has the power to damn people to hell. And are all the models going to hell or just the ones who get tortured? Am I thinking more about this than Banks did herself?
Oh, good. Okay. Yeah. Because that stuck out to me. Like, okay, a clue.
Yes, right. Well, it's like when we would watch the Star Wars movies and like
Would you like some bacon?
Oh, hang on. Bridget just came in the room with bacon for me. This is live. This is live on.
It's a live bacon delivery.
Thank you.
Hello, people.
Yep.
As we debate the Modelland cosmology, you get offered bacon. Yes. I think that's the sign that the god is a loving one. But yeah, we would watch the Star Wars prequels and it'd be like, I just pray to God that we know what we were able to undo what happened today. And it's like, who exactly? Is it the same? Does Jar Jar worship the same God as Princess Amidala? Like,
oh, that's good to know, though. So, do we have a list of all the things that are real in Modelland? And so it's good to put hell on that list.
Right. Yeah, is Hunchy going to wind up in hell, or is he? Is Saint Peter going to be welcoming him in loving arms? Like,
oh, Hunchy is as a god. Yes, he's a saint among men.
And so what is the? They're going to escape, even though as we discussed, these are all ambiguously, even easily misunderstood conversations, and they start being like, we got to form a team. And so they're like, you be the messenger, you be the lookout, like they're the 7-year-old girl that had that book read to her, as opposed to people who are legitimately fearing from their life and have good reason to, because they've been abused and mistreated daily since they've been here.
Yeah, and apparently this has gone on again, the timeline, what is it?
Well, I mean, they've been here. I thought when the next chapter starts, it says 1 week passed, then another, and still Tookie could not think of a plan. I thought that they've been here for about 5 months by this point in time.
Okay. Maybe somebody reading closer could give us the actual, but I think that seems accurate.
Yeah, I mean, so that's weeks passing. At some point, though, they said 3 months passed. Like they jumped ahead, like at the beginning, I think, of our last episode. So I think it's a legitimate, 4 or 5. I mean, that's pretty much close to the end of a semester, I would guess.
And Seal was, when she described her tenure there, she'd been tortured a bunch, which was not described in the book. You know what I mean? So that was like the passing of time as well. Mm-hmm. And then she talked about her classes and things. So the ones that we did not see.
Yep.
So yeah.
And they said that the pilgrims have been walking for months as well. So that checks out.
Right.
Well, let's do chapter 31 then, because that's when it starts. They're trying to get away, but she can't think of a plan. So displaying the real sense of urgency when you suspect with just cause that you're going to be sacrificed, leading to your agonizing death.
I would just point out before that, though, she did meet up again with Bravo.
Oh, yeah.
And there was another thumb-sucking scene. Or, I mean, close to it. They didn't go that fully to it, but let me just read this. A gust of wind kicked up, blowing around stray leaves from the bushes. A leaf landed on Tookie's bottom lip. Smiling, Bravo reached out to brush it away. His thumb touched both of her lips, then entered her mouth a bit.
Good Lord! I missed that.
He removed the last traces of leaf, but his thumb lingered between her lips just like before.
Aye.
What is happening here? What is this? Was this a formative thing in Tyra's life that some guy put his thumb in her mouth?
Someone submitted a meme for the meme contest. I believe it was a movie scene with Juliette Lewis, who's like sucking on a guy's thumb. I don't know what it was.
Oh, that was Cape Fear, right?
Oh, was it?
I think that's Robert De Niro.
Wow.
Yeah.
Huh. All right. Maybe that's maybe Tyra really loved that movie. She would also laugh at Problem Child in the theater when she saw it.
All right. So chapter 31.
Yeah. And so this is one that I thought was just an instance where like two sentences don't belong next to each other, where they were sort of maybe deciding which one to use, but then left them both in accidentally. Listen to this.
Sure.
So they're talking about the classes, the debate class. In War of Words, as they debated merino versus mohair, cotton versus cashmere, retouched versus raw photos, and real versus faux fur, Seal, shackled in her shrunken Modelland uniform, stared sadly at Piper, Dillon, and Shiraz. Guru Matjo had to call Modelland security to physically subdue Seal 3 times, always telling her to save the fighting for War of Words. What? It says that she's sitting there staring sadly at them, and then he has to physically subdue her 3 times, always telling her to save the fighting for War of Words.
Okay, that has to be, there's a giant excised chapter.
Right? Because one, she's sitting there, drugged out and staring, like a McMurdy at the end of Cuckoo's Nest, and the other one, she's being physically restrained for fighting too much.
Wow. I did not pick up on that.
Yeah, it was just easily you could read over that and just be like, it doesn't matter. So I love Paris in the springtime illusion, but right. When it does stand out, you're like, oh my God, how many other ones of these have I missed?
Right. Wow. So she talks about food in here. And I don't know I don't have the context, so I'll just read this because it's a funny thing. So braised short ribs with apple cider vinegar barbecue sauce.
Okay.
Seems very
tasty.
specific. Yeah. Haricot vert sautéed in garlic olive oil. Soup dumplings filled with melted fat. Pecan pie topped with the creamiest of whipped cream. Never touching her lips. Anyway, the point of this all was that I have a friend who, I've known him for many years. We'd go to restaurants, and one day, all of a sudden, like, haricot verts were on the menu. And so I think one of us was like, to the waiter or waitress, like, what is this? She's like, green beans.
Yeah.
And so now it's, obviously it's on every menu. And so when we go to a restaurant together, just to irritate him, I will always go like, so do you guys have any green beans? Or he's like, I'll have the haricot vert. We'll just do the opposite of whatever, just to irritate the other one.
Wow.
He's like, I will come across this table and punch you unless you don't call them green beans.
Right. I was irritated by that as well. I even Googled it. Was like, I'm pretty sure those are green beans, but they were just something that menus say like that. And I was like, all right, yep.
Yes. But it happened one day. All of a sudden, like, there's no more green beans. They're just all haricot vert.
Is there anything else that's like that?
That just suddenly became... That's a good question. Yeah, I don't know.
Other languages being used to make it sound fancy.
Right. Of the plainest, most, there's 75 million tons of green beans are taken out of Minnesota farms every year.
Right, yeah. Canned, green gianted, put it next to your barbecue sides. But these are...
Yes.
I would not have said it correctly. Haricot vert.
Haricot vert.
My hair got caught in the nostril of the Tookie as I administered the mop hair anesthesia.
As they snaked out and they lengthened.
Like one of those black snakes you light on the 4th of July.
Sure, as your feet emitted water like you were in a fish tank.
Inside of a
until
pouch.
Someone cut your pouch.
Also, speaking of food, Bravo has now started leaving a can of whipped cream on Tookie's doorstep of the D every day for 2 weeks with a note that says Zello and Zud Zorning. So we need to talk about what his deal is,
The Bravo talking like a cartoon dog has got to stop.
It's awful,
That is not a thing. It's like, look, if that happened once and you were like flirting with a girl and then you did it once and then you go like, oh, God, did I say that? You would like stay awake for an extra 45 minutes before you fell asleep going, well, never going to do that again. Oof. She's probably not going to return my text. But he sticks with it.
Yeah. No response.
Sends her notes.
2 weeks.
Yeah.
He's getting the whipped cream. He's buying it, and he has these notes. O'Neill needs to step up. He needs to bro down with him or just like smack some sense into him because this is... or just to hump him, that was O'Neill's signature move. He cannot let this keep going. I'm not sure what Bravo's deal is. I don't know what's going to be revealed.
I don't know.
If he just has, it's going to turn out that he's blind. I don't know. That's how his thumb keeps getting stuck there. Like,
I think O'Neill is, I think we already referred to him. It's like waiting for Godot. Like, where is O'Neill? Please.
Right. Listen, man, like you got your pick of actual models at this school. You don't need to be doing Zello and Zud Zorning to Tookie de la Creme.
Right.
They're not letting you leave this until you pick a more attractive girl.
Who, by all accounts, like even Seal and the BellaDonna were sitting there going like, yeah, these people are real pieces of garbage. Like, I mean, these are real ugly.
Yeah. They all look like, children's drawings. They're just, everything is exaggerated and heightened and revolting.
Yes. But in chapter 31, here's a sentence. The Bestosteros had almost finished building the 7-7 stadium, and Tookie's class of green-clad Bellas were given a tour by Zhen Zhen. Mm-hmm. So what time is it? She left.
Well, I mean, that's another clue. She was going away for a month, right?
Okay, so she's just back.
She's back, yeah.
There's no like, hey, Zhen Zhen, you're back. That was a great month. All of a sudden, we're just given a tour by Zhen Zhen, who the last time we saw her was like, I'm leaving for a long time.
Yeah. And she didn't come back with any new perspective or anything. She still is just, a CL wannabe.
Weird.
Yeah.
Like, how did it go? Are they going to ask her? Like, hey, you were going off to see whether or not you could be a model. You were doing the, like, real life thing. How'd it go?
Yeah.
Nope, nothing like that.
Their relationship with her is that they run into her and she, like, minusculely advances the plot forward through meeting out some information.
And by the way, I have another reading for the dear little child who unfortunately has woken back up.
You woke me up to read me more?
Yeah, well, I mean...
I appreciate being awakened from the nightmare, but this is not going to help.
Yeah, I was watching something on ESPN. It didn't hold my interest. So it was ping pong. It was good. I mean, but I don't know either.
It's a fun game.
It's very fun. They stand very far from the thing and they hit it really hard. But then they do that weird serve where they throw it up and then they just do that little
I thought you were going to be reading me up. Not that I want to,
I'm going
but
to be reading your thing.
If you're going to keep me away.
The point was I didn't know either of the players, as good as they were. One was from South Korea. The other was from China. And really good players.
Book, please.
Look, I'll bring you into the living room. I'll show you.
No,
It's still on,
I'm
probably.
so tired and nervous.
Okay, all right. Well, then let me read you this to put you to sleep then. Mm-hmm. Countless terrifying images flash through her head.
Like mine. It's just like
yes,
mine.
Yes, picture those, my dear child.
I go to sleep every night now.
Jagged and exotic murder weapons being thrust by a woman's hand. Do I need to draw you any pictures of jagged and exotic murder weapons?
I mean, exotic is relatively ambiguous, but jagged is not.
That's true. All right. Well, picture those. Now picture this, my sweet love, and then go to sleep. Pieces of body parts flying through the air in slow motion.
Oh, my gosh. Severed body parts.
Seal coughing out a malicious laugh as blood squirted from her eyes.
Like one of the horned toads where you woke me up in the middle of the night to make me watch a video of it squirting blood from its eyes.
Right, the ones who, they like, it's kind of like those serpents who do it with their venom, but this is blood from a toad's eyes.
Venom, yes. You mean anesthesia?
It's the thing that causes you to sleep and feel pain. Exactly.
Right. I am retaining some of this book.
I'm so glad this reading has not gone.
Well, at least it didn't get any worse. Thank you all.
Shiraz's, Dylan's, and Piper's rotting dead bodies. Their glassy eyes staring up at Tukey.
They were my three favorite characters, and now they're rotting?
Well, they're rotting, and other people are squirting blood. So please picture the squirting blood flying onto the rotting bodies. Probably the gas expanding in their body cavities.
Oh, from the sweetbreads?
Bloated. Yes, exactly. Anyway, good night, my dear. Going back to watch ping pong. So long.
Oh, man. So that's like her, like, Tookie's dream, right? Like, that's just what she's seeing if they don't manage to get out.
Yeah. I mean, but her dream is, it's indistinguishable from
right, exactly, from the actual day-to-day horrors of Modelland.
Yes, yeah, but that's her dream.
But the dream is then interrupted by an alarm because Desperata, who is crying in the ICU about her boyfriend separation anxiety, is making a break for it.
Yes.
She's gone over to the wall, like this is the big wall that keeps you in Modelland, keeps the pancreas hunchies out, and CL is she's only interested in Desperata. What are you doing? She screamed to the girl on the wall. Get down. And I just want to read some of CL's dialogue here because later Tookie accuses her of faking concern for Desperata. So we heard her say, what are you doing? Get down. Desperata, you're acting like a damn fool. CL exploded. If you go, you'll regret it. What happens to you will be permanent.
Mm-hmm.
So that's her faked concern is her saying, don't do this. Bad things will happen. Please come down, I beg of you.
Right.
But then Gonoro Nars, the RuPaul guy, essentially goads this 14-year-old girl into going over the wall, knowing full well that she's about to suffer horrific permanent damage in that she ages 70 years in the blink of an eye.
I did not understand that. Do you? I didn't know why he was goading her on because we don't know enough about this person.
No, it's stunning. It was just him intentionally trying to inflict harm on one of the students.
Okay.
A thick lightning bolt struck the wall after she makes her leap, making everyone jump back. It sent an immense fountain of color into the air, and the barrier became transparent. Suddenly, Desperada was visible on the other side, lying still on the ground. Is she dead? Zarpessa chirped a little too excitedly. So she's an actual ghoul. Like, she's excited that someone, she didn't even have she didn't even try to strangle Desperada with her own cintura. She's just excited to see a dead body.
Right.
But then,
everyone in this book is a monster. Is anyone good?
O'Neill.
Yes, O'Neill.
Saint O'Neill. But then, so then when they get another look at her, oh my God, Tookie whispered. Desperada's face looked as though it belonged to someone of almost 70, not a girl of 15. Lightning struck again, and the wall reflected Desperada's image back to her. She let out a blood-curdling scream. I'm sorry, she said, pawing at the wall. Let me back in. He won't want me like this. Gunuru Nars smiled and blew her a kiss. So he goads her into it and then mocks her as soon as it's done.
Wow. So is he the demon in this book? Is he the one who torments everyone for eternity?
Maybe, yeah. Everyone down in hell is 3/4 man, 1/4 woman. But he, and probably Zarpessa, so she says, oh, look, everybody, these 4 have crossed the aging barrier too. No, wait, they're still young, just naturally disgustingly ugly. Tookie turned around and glowered at Zarpessa, fuming with rage. She had never met anyone so foul and black-hearted in her life. It's like, yeah, no, I haven't either. It sort of makes relating or being, subtle or any sort of nuance impossible once she's, like, actually the devil.
To make sure that the chapter, ends on a cat piss note, not literally, but the sun's about to come up and show off those dun-colored faces of yours. Make sure you slap on lots of concealer to cover up those dark half-moons under your eyes. God. Everyone trudged back to the D.
Trudging is a nice touch.
Yes.
And Gunura also, as he blows a kiss at her, says, here's hoping your boyfriend's into discarded Modelland cougars. Gennaro teased, which is I tip the hat to an actual savage put down there.
I guess that's a tease.
Yeah, right.
Come on, I'm teasing you. What do you? Wow, come on.
Although he probably, if this happens with the frequency you must imagine it does, he's probably used that line before.
Yes. But it ends with a letter in her. What is it called? The book where she keeps her
TMJ.
Okay. But my last note is just the last line of that. So do you have anything about the letter?
No. I mean, there's just an earthquake and just debris fell everywhere because the BellaDonna got angry. That's it.
Yes. So she writes to Seal. This is Tookie writing to Seal, and it's just like come on, man, you're disturbed, you're sick. Mm-hmm. The last line is, where the hell is Seal, they all ask. When I get away from this place, the first thing I'm going to do is tell the world what a phony, evil, sick bitch you are. Tookie. Heart kiss.
Yeah, right.
Oh, again, I woke up the little girl to read her that.
Oh,
too.
Nice. Well, I sent that in my next letter to Willard Scott, too. It's
Wow.
Yeah, it's the claws are out.
Not just on
the Tumble Terrors and Hunchy. They're out on our hero as well.
Who's the lady missing a 3-inch chunk of her hairy ass?
Yeah, Abigail's mom.
Abigail's mom.
God, not even just hairy, wow. Shaggy. That implies a level of thickness, matting, potential dreadlocking, like of.
What do they do to sheep to? Not
mulesing.
Yes.
Ban that practice, man. Please, great.
Well,
chapter 32 is the final one of our session.
It's time for the this. I think I forgot to tease this. It was going to be a big tease at the beginning. I did not read chapter 32.
You son of a bitch.
Yeah,
unbelievable.
I leave it to you to describe chapter 32.
Which this? You just hit a wall. Was there ping pong on TV?
Things came up. sandwiches had to be made.
Unbelievable. Sandwiches had to be
Bacon
made.
had to
Bridget
be
just brought
fried.
you bacon.
Yeah, there's a lot going on. It's a short chapter.
Okay.
You can easily describe it.
It was.
To me.
I will describe it to you. And we've talked about as this goes forward, trying to maybe inject some freshness into this thing. We've debated finishing Modelland off, one of us reading it and one of us not, and explaining it to the other person.
I'm all in favor of that, providing it goes the direction.
Yes, yeah. It's
however, if it doesn't,
yeah.
We could do the coin flip live.
Wow,
that would be really fun. Yes.
Well, yeah. So that it seems like we'll see how this goes. Telling you about what happens here, but
okay,
we'll have to. We might do it. Maybe just for the last one. I don't know.
Can I ask a few questions? Is Shiraz in it? Is Creamy or is Hunchy kind of the star of chapter 32?
Sorry, it stays in Modelland. It does not go back out to the pilgrims.
But wait, I have the chapter up. I have to confess, I see Chaste is back.
Is she?
Yeah, she's there right at the beginning.
I have a note that says, "Where the hell is Chaste?" Oh, I didn't even notice that. What is she? Does she say something? Does she snicker?
I hear it's the BellaDonnas doing Bibiana whispered.
Bibiana is the poor woman's Blariana. She's there every now and then.
Walk to class. I think she enjoys tormenting us, Chaste added. Every time a Bella ages, I bet she gets a huge shivery thrill up her stony spine.
Wow, Chaste is not cracking wise or horny. The events must have really shaken her.
No, and then Camellini's there, and then Shiraz is.
Camellini gets off quite an insight. She says, there is something malicious surrounding Modelland. She's the one that's been wearing the headphones the whole time, so maybe she just hasn't really been noticing. But, yeah!
She pulls one out like she's on an airplane, and someone asked her, "Where you?
Right.
Do you live here? Or are you headed to Phoenix?"
No, I'm sorry.
I is something malicious happening in Modelland?
We just saw a woman aged 70 years in the blink of an eye. Then it trailed a earthquake, causing debris and dead birds to fall from the sky.
Look down the mountain. There's people with silver and red blood splashed all over their pants from eating the hearts of.
So this is funny. I thought the girls have started to go to the wall where Desperata went over. They placed bouquets of flowers and trinkets at the base to honor her. And one of those handmade signs reads, "Desperata, forever young to us."
Wow.
Which I thought was pretty funny. They're playing.
What was in Ready Player One? Remember at the end there were people standing there with
signs that said high five and Shoto.
Yes.
But yeah, the girls of Modelland, 14-year-olds were probably big into Rod Stewart songs, so that was probably where they got that Forever Young from.
Yes.
Dylan looks up at the wall and says, "I wonder how many others have jumped and if the change hurts." So that's Dylan's big concern when she watches someone age 70 years, is that it might hurt.
Okay.
Probably wouldn't be mine. But then essentially the BellaDonna is like, "All right, you clowns, everyone get in here, everyone into the M. We need to address you." She's going to hold court here. And this was a very strange thing. It says at the front and back of the room, this is the room where Tookie had been in, the mirrored hallway.
Oh, right, where she heard Seal and the BellaDonna having it out.
Yeah. But it says that there were long tables holding all kinds of optical devices, from jeweler's loupes to microscopes, monocles to viewfinders, magnifying glasses to antique eyeglasses to prisms. And I was like, jeweler's loupes is not something that I feel like I've seen it before. And so I Googled, I Control F looped. And so on the first time she went to this building 2 chapters ago, it said, on 2 long tables against the window sat all kind of optical devices, spectacles of every sort, monocles, jeweler's loupes, microscopes, viewfinders, magnifying glasses, even a large prism, which cast a giant rainbow onto the floor. They just listed that shit again.
Wow. I remember that from before because I wondered how, jeweler's loupes is a term you don't hear often.
Exactly.
Loupes are... a friend of mine was over and she said, "Hey, I need to look more closely at this. Do you have anything?" And I go, "Oh, I have a jeweler's loupe." She was like, "What the hell?"
In the way that a normal person
the mockery of me was, yes,
yeah, that story is that she asks for it
fitting.
and you say, "What not the hell?" Like, why would I have a jeweler's loop?
She just kept turning to me, going like, "Yep, there you go. I expect that from you." Like, what?
Good. I guess I need to see the 4 C's of any diamonds.
Yes.
And so the BellaDonna calls this meeting, and after this horrific incident, and she does the thing like, did you ever like have a student election where like the guy running for class president got up there and had a speech, but then was like, you know what, I can't do this, and he crumples it up and is like, I'm going to speak to you from the heart. I'm going to do this impassioned speech, and really like, so she says like, I'm going to tell everyone that you are loved here at Modelland, like despite what just happened, we've been keeping some secrets, but here it is all on the line. Yeah. Just kidding. She sings a song. She sings another Modelland song as either Tyra or this person love to put in, and it is a stunner. I'm going to read it to you because it's a short one. It says, Modelland was once her home, but foolish lust we don't condone, don. Now accursed and cracked gemstone, stone, Modelland is not her home. So real good rhythm and to all that.
I would just say that because now I have the song up here, though I didn't read the chapter. If you were going to be a jerk when you read, but foolish lust we can't condone, and then the 2 words D-O-N-E, you would say condone, done. Yeah. but okay, but I'll give it the proper respect.
And the meter of now accursed and cracked gemstone, as any normal person would say, gemstone, like the emphasis on gem, does not work with the other 2 lines.
Sure.
But then she says, "Sing with me," the BellaDonna shouted. She launched into the chorus again. Was there a verse?
Oh.
There was no verse.
What's the
all we have is the chorus.
Oh, okay.
But then one of the greatest things that's happened a bunch is that the girls began to start singing along in their like uncertain voices, like, "Oh, we really have to be doing this, huh?" But she screeches louder at them, so everyone starts belting out the lyrics, and it says they sang through the chorus 6 more times.
Holy moly!
So that's a total of 8 times that they sing "Modelland was once her home." But foolish lust we don't condone. Done. And so I was gonna make us do that in real time, but I decided this is before I knew you haven't even read this. I went through and I broke out the pocket operators that make our theme song.
Sure.
And composed some music for this and performed this song as it would have been 8 times in a row.
Had I read the chapter, nothing would have changed. So let's acknowledge that.
True.
We still
right.
did.
Yeah, this was the type of project where, again, I looked at the clock and 2 hours had passed and I was like, what on earth did I just do? Like, the only good thing about it was that I now don't share walls with people anymore, so no neighbors could hear me shrieking this at the top of my lungs.
Question: shirtless or?
I was not because I had the fan on, the door open. It was later in the day, so that would have really put the balling my fists up and. Someone in We Are the World should have been shirtless. That would have been a nice touch. Panning through the crowd.
I think Bruce.
Yeah. Or like
Bruce
Dan Aykroyd
shirtless.
being like, is that Dan Aykroyd? And is he shirtless? Anyway, let's listen to my version of Modelland Was Once Her Home. May I present to you the most beloved of the beloved, the chicest of the chic, the definer of all things beautiful, the BellaDonna of Modelland. Modelland was once her home, but foolish lust we don't condone, don. Now a cursed and cracked gemstone, stone. Modelland is not her home. Sing with me! Modelland was once her home, but foolish lust we don't condone, don. Now a cursed and cracked gemstone, stone. Modelland is not her home. Louder! Modelland was once her home, but foolish lust we don't condone, don. Now a cursed and cracked gemstone, stone. Modelland is not her home. Modelland was once her home, home, home. But foolish lust we don't condone. Now we're cursed to crack your stone. Modelland is not her home. Modelland was once her home, home. But foolish lust we don't condone. Now we're cursed to crack your stone. Modelland is not her home. Modelland was once her home, home. But foolish lust we don't condone. Now we're cursed to crack your stone. Modelland is not her home. Modelland was once her home, home. But foolish lust we don't condone. Now we're cursed to crack your stone. Modelland is not her home. Modelland was once her home. But foolish lust we don't condone. Now we're cursed to crack your stone. Modelland is not her home.
Holy moly! I picture you shirtless.
Okay, good.
I mean, I'm just gonna go do that.
Having performed one, I'm coming around a bit on the songs. I think if you take them with like a sort of like krautrock, Kraftwerk, like David Bowie low era kind of thing, you know.
Sure. Yeah.
There's something there, devoid of any of the music. The lyrics don't really scan, but once you start trying to put into the music, I don't know.
I always imagine that about like the famous songwriting teams that don't work together, where someone hands you a bunch of lyrics and is like, "Here, come up with a pop song."
Yeah.
For this. I mean, that's famously what
Elton John,
like Bernie Taupin did to Elton John. Like, here you go. Benny and the Jets. Here you make this a hit.
Right.
Okay, that's a good challenge.
Yeah, but it's if Bernie Taupin sucked big time.
Well, there are those who.
Anyway.
Well done.
BellaDonna's she's just upset that Desperado left because of her boyfriend. And she says, leaving for a man, leaving for an all caps man. The BellaDonna whined.
Wow. Well, that's a sonic challenge, obviously.
Sure. Leaving for a man. I said the all-powerful stone BellaDonna.
Wait, I have it here. Let me do it. Okay, ready? Because it's two that are similar, and then the third one has... Okay, here we go. The room trembled from her whining.
Okay.
So that's part of it. Leaving for a man? Leaving for a man? Leaving for a man? I don't know if that got the room trembling, but there you go.
I mean, if there was like feedback from the microphone right after that. But yeah, the BellaDonna's... Man. She's whining, she's screeching. It doesn't really sound powerful to me.
Right.
But then she goes on to this, and this is sort of in line with the doctor was a woman? Desperation clouds your minds, robs you of clear thoughts, makes you think that a man is the answer. He, period, is, period, not. We've had a lot of those, too.
Yeah.
In the civilian world, women are more valued for giving birth to babies than for giving... What do you think? What do you think she's going to say here?
I can't lie. I have the text.
Okay. Then for giving birth to their dreams. Whoa. Makes you think.
Drop the mic.
But in response to that, we get Zarpressa from the back of the room. But Madame BellaDonna, I don't think it's wrong to live for a man. Their intelligence is far greater than ours, and it is our duty to submit and love. And she gets cut off. So what? Who are we supposed to take away from this? Now she's a 50s, coronet character.
No, she's like, it's like a pilgrim or something. Like, what?
Right, yeah,
What?
Exactly.
Not even that would be.
And like, there's not even a strong male influence in her life. Her dad's taking her out like, come on, honey, we got to go dig for some sea bass out of the dumpster. Like, oh, father, your intelligence. Yeah, okay.
In his defense, remember, it was still warm.
True. He had scouted out which restaurant was throwing it away at which time.
Right. Yes. So good father of the year.
And then so essentially they say that the BellaDonna's takeaway is at Modelland you have to stop loving things.
Oh, okay.
That's their takeaway, and as we discussed, 5 months into the semester. So what was her name? Desperata might be on the other side of the wall, looking 70, being like, "Could have used that information."
Right. I'm seeing towards the end of the chapter, and it's making me very happy. So I'll just read it live here. Then the BellaDonna leaned in closer to Shiraz, so close that Tookie could hear her inhaling and exhaling. Her breath smelled sour, a little like Mr. De La Creme's after he drank his weight in tater mash. You think you can run away, elfin girl, with those stunted legs of yours? So there you go. That's right.
What's the opposite of ASMR? Like, what happens if you type ASMR on a Dvorak keyboard? That's what you get there. Yes. Revolting. But, fitting also. Yeah, so
well, I hope that the listener could smell my breath that smelled a little like I drank my weight in tater mash.
Oh man, if we hit 1,000 Patreon subscribers, we'll institute the smell-o-vision for the podcast. Send everyone a scratch and sniff card for different segments.
Oh my god.
But then Tookie says, "Is it really a mandate that we give up things like love? It seemed so cold, heartless. What kind of place is this?"
You're just now,
yes,
scratching the chin and going, wow,
this is a malicious surrounding Modelland. Now that it occurs to me,
that guy who had half a head of hair who dragged himself across the floor. That now that I think about it, that does seem a little odd. Or that woman with the scissor head,
or the
who made me put my arm in her head scissors. Yeah, now that you mention it, I guess now I can see it.
Yeah,
yes.
The sloth trough slops. Troughs of slop gain a whole new sort of veneer in this new information that has come to light.
Now that I've sat down with you, good friend, and we've shared a beer, and you mentioned that those things might be kind of odd, I guess I kind of see your point.
I understand now why the woman, my roommate, tried to strangle me with my own magic belt.
Yeah. That's not, so that didn't happen to you? Yeah. No, it didn't. Okay. All right.
Frank,
I guess that is odd now that
I was mainly focused on O'Neill's humping, so that was why I thought there was nothing malicious about this. I was very just... I swear to God, if he doesn't come back up and he is like the Blariana of this book, just never mentioned again, I don't know if I'll be angry or happy. I won't be able to decide.
Oh, I'm going to be so excited. It's Piranha all over again.
And then it ends with Tookie's thought. Her thought at the end of all of this is, "We have to get out of this place now." All caps.
They're going to jump in the zip zap or whatever, right? The zigzag, the poop plop.
Yeah, the bip bop.
The peep poop.
Please don't insinuate that it might be a peep poop, because, we do have a toilet baby coming onto the floor of the bathroom. It's not beyond the realm of this book.
Zip zap?
Zip zap, the emergency zip zap that killed a lot of people.
Right.
But she's like,
and
now.
That wasn't even the one that scraped the girl's scalp off.
Yeah, that took off the Icelandic girl's scalp. And they thought she was dead.
But what was it, the same zip zap?
Well, the zip zaps, I think are those pouches that sort of take you to various places. They're like the quick travel.
Oh, pouches. Talk to me about pouches, baby.
And so, that she thinks now that they really ought to make a getaway from this place before anything worse happens.
So now we're 4 months in.
Yes, yeah.
So it'd be like, again, to reference it again, Dustin Hoffman in Marathon Man, on the third day of getting his open tooth poked and prodded, would be like, I got to get out of here, man. With being tortured by the Nazi dentist.
This is not my cup of tea.
Exit stage left. Yeah. I got to get out of here.
Going to the dentist, hard pass.
Oh, God. You had that, by the way, I think you had that joke in one of our scripts about hard pass.
What was it? Yeah.
Oh, just something like anyone who says it ever again or something. And I probably have in the past. You could probably go back to podcasts.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah.
Hard pass. Because, it's just one of those things. You hear like a comedian that you like or something say it in a very, in a funny way. And you don't realize that I can't know everything that's happening. But you could probably find me on a podcast saying hard pass. I'm just confessing that to everyone. You will find
Sure. All right. It wasn't personal. It was just, I assume that's now a Marvel punchline as well.
Oh yeah.
Don't go there.
I think I've stricken it from certainly stricken it.
Oh, well, that concludes the book for this week. We've gone super long, so I think we should just take a look at some of the dumb sentences that people also said hard pass to.
A sentence begins with a capital letter. A capital letter is a letter that's big. A capital letter is not a small letter. A capital letter is big, big, big. A sentence ends with a period.
So here are the dumb sentences of the week submitted by our listeners and Patreon supporters. Once again, hit up patreon.com/372pages. You can hear Meet the Authors that we did with Janet Varney. It was very funny.
Oh, yeah. She's the best.
And as well as you recently reviewed some New Yorker captions with Bridget.
She had a book that she found in our lobby, and then I tried to make her, the old thing of like, okay, open it up and make me laugh with these. And so it was legitimate. We just did it on the air. We didn't practice it or anything.
Uh-huh.
We're just like, okay, just read this and try to make me laugh.
Did any land?
No. They're all very puzzling. We broke them down.
It's fun to do as a party game, though, is to do your own and sort of play, apples to apples with them.
I did once with my son, August. We were at his house, and and his wife and my wife did not appreciate this at all. But it was the Playboy joke book.
Wow.
And so it was like, read a few of them, then go in the other room and write a joke. So it's like real fanfic with one of those jokes. It was amazing.
Are they
I was
dirty from the 60s quote, or are they just like humor?
Yeah, they're just sort of
I shot an elephant
body
in my
or something.
okay.
Yeah, like the secretary said to the boss, like, I can't believe that you're taking my bra off here. And like, they're pretty PG, but all you have to do is like get the rhythm of it. And I was like wiping tears of joy from my eye as my wife and my daughter-in-law were just like staring at us. And, like, we are trying to eat a salad here.
You guys are just a couple of O'Neills.
Hey, oh man, such an O'Neill.
Dumb sentences. This one's from Mike. He touched the side of Tookie's face as if she were clay and he were a sculptor. And Mike said, sculptors working with clay really need press and squeeze the hell out of it. It's not something you want done to your cheeks. But, a lot of things happen to you at Modelland that you don't necessarily want done to you. So,
right.
Here's one from Jacob. It was a blessing for my kind because the powers that be at Modelland recognized that skates for feet would be put to good use in medical situations, the doctor continued.
The robot.
Yep, exactly. Janelle submitted, get ready, pilgrims, Kamada said. This is the part where you will all crap your pants. And she just said, no one, in fact, crapped their pants, which is the biggest letdown of the book so far. Maybe O'Neill will crap his pants.
Oh, God, if he comes on and just does that, how happy would you be?
I mean, into a bucket, tying him in with Blariana. I mean, yes. It's hard to say. I hope he comes back. Harris submitted, Then he took off his boot, revealing razor-sharp claws, lifted his foot, and sliced the creature's human torso, which we covered, but he says, I can barely recognize dumb sentences anymore. My focus now is on the most bizarre sentence. Are his feet actually claws? Because they use the term claws to describe fingers a lot, but also claws to describe actual claws because monstrous mutants are canon within this world. What are the Tumble terrors? Were they mentioned before this chapter? We emphasize that it did not. He can't tell if it's a creature's human torso refers to a creature, a human, or a human turned into a creature. But as we discussed, it doesn't matter because we're evidently through with them.
Yes.
Here's one from Theodore. It's the doctor saying this. Lips have a lot of nerve endings, pleasure and pain ones. He just said, Doctor, please do not talk about the pleasure nerves in this teenage girl's lips.
Oh, God, yes.
Jay submitted, CL laughed devilishly, almost evilly. And Jay wondered, are there non-evil devils I'm aware of?
Hey, I'm a nice devil. What do you want?
Yeah, and I exist in the hell that exists in Modelland.
Yes, for all eternity.
Steve submitted, like Chase would say, there are plenty of other ways to get busy even with a cut lip, right, Tutu? I just love the idea of chased catchphrase merchandise.
Yeah.
John submitted, and that was the and when death came, it was not a reprieval but internal damnation. Andrew submitted, so many girls died using the emergency exit to try to get to Laderno during the big stadium fire. He says, why is it even still existing if anyone, if it has killed anybody who ever tried to use it? Really, one death would be enough. And then Hayden submitted, Tutu just mouth pee-peed all over you.
Oh, God.
I do have a couple that we haven't covered. I did submit, yuck, Tutu just mouth pee-peed all over you.
Okay, yeah, sure.
But yeah, I have these, which I think we notably skipped over. You might have them too. Why don't you read yours?
Probably going to cross over, and one of them is a cheat, but here we go. Tookie headed straight for the path that led her to the D. Another one. Sorry, he held up his palms in surrender. Would D head be more appropriate? The shape of your head reminds me of the D.
That was mine.
Okay, and then I have one more. Oh, this is unrelated, though. She wore an elaborate sage green cape made of multiple types of pistols, knives, nooses, and razors with a hat shaped like a pair of angry scissors. So she wore a sage green cape with a hat shaped like a pair of The cape was made of pistols.
Yes.
So
different kinds of pistols.
How would that read a cape to you if someone was wearing a cape made of
incredibly heavy metal?
Not a cape with those on the cape or pictures of those, but an actual cape made of multiple types of
fastened
pistols.
Together through some sort of metal
Would
stitching.
you recognize that as a cape?
That's a good question.
I don't think so.
It looks more like a flattened robot or something.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, what do you got?
I had the shape of your head reminds me of the D.
Okay.
But then he goes on to add, I meant D head in a good way. I love uncommon beauty, and the D is a perfect example. And yeah, again, don't know if she's doing it on purpose, but when they're that blatant, we've got to point them out.
She has to know, but it doesn't work as a joke if she's anyway.
Who knows?
We're thinking too much about it.
We've thought about it more than I have, as have all of our listeners. But that's it for now, I guess.
Yeah. Thanks everyone. Thanks to Patreon people. This has been quite a reading. We'll maybe switch things up for the next time.
Yeah, we'll see. It could be fun. If I got
we could do a special event to kick off our episode. We'll say could be final, could be not. I don't know.
Do a coin flip as the as a Patreon bonus.
Yep.
Oh boy, that's gonna be an amazing moment.
Well, we could do it in Nashville. We're gonna.
Oh
be in
wow,
Nashville together.
Televised.
We could do a video.
Oh man, or a rock paper scissors tournament.
Yes.
Let's do that.
Okay. So long.
I've placed like $100 wagers on things before. This is going to be the biggest thing I've ever bet on in my life. Who has to finish?
It's
reading
going to be
Modelland.
huge.
All right.
So
all right. Bye.